Welcome, everybody, to the finals of the first Community Unmatched tournament. We got some action in store for you guys. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm joined here with Matt. How you doing today, Matt?
What's up, John? I'm hyped for some Unmatched. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to have some great matches here, I'm sure. So first of all, I just wanted to give a shout out, to Restoration Games. You guys have been fantastic in supporting this, community-sponsored tournament that we're running, as well as the guys from Vorpal Board. We are going to be using Vorpal to run this tournament. It's been working out great for us so far, so I want to thank you for your support. Also, thanks to Restoration for providing the prize. The winner of the tournament will get a free game of their choice, so sponsored by Restoration. Thank you for that. And also, I want to give a big thanks to Joshua Tan and Gary McCarthy. Those guys were the co-organizers of the tournament with me. I could not have done it without them. So, guys, thank you so much. I couldn't have asked for better partners there. And so I think we're still waiting up on Joshua. He's running a little bit late, but we will get him in here on commentary as well as soon as he can. But I think we're going to start off with some predictions. We have the winners finals right here. We're going to be having Prospero versus Bug Hunter. They are both the last undefeated players of the tournament. So whichever wins will move on to the grand finals, which will be tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. And whoever loses will play again later today in the losers finals starting at 3 p.m. Eastern for that one. So they're not out of it yet, but it's going to be a great match. And also, before we start, I just want to say thanks to all you guys, the players, for joining this. It wouldn't be anything without you guys. So thanks a lot for joining. And especially, we started this thing up, and we had, a rough outline of how we wanted things to go, and we had pretty much, things in order, but we had a lot of community improvements along the way, which I really appreciate. Matt, I know you in particular, you ran you created the results form spreadsheet, and then you also created the tournament data tracker, which is super helpful. So thank you for that. I wanted to also thank Ursus Optimus. He made the fighter pick and ban deck that we were using throughout the tournament on TTS. So that was really helpful as well. As well as TDC Jason, he created some card backs for the decks in TTS, so it's a little nicer to look at, so thank you for that. And then also big thanks to 645 Development. He is the man behind the magic here with the stream, so this would not be a thing without him, so thank you so much for that. He also developed the Assistant app, if you guys have been using that, to track your decks during the games. So big thanks to him for that as well. He's done amazing work, and I'm happy to have him on board. So with that, all that said, we started with 35 entrants of the tournament, and we had, unfortunately, 2 of them drop before even starting due to other obligations. But that left us with 33 remaining players, and I think most of them, maybe we had a few drop out after one loss due to not being able to make a match, unfortunately. But that still left us with about 30 players who were active the whole entire time, so pretty good turnout. So I'm really happy with that. And again, with all that being said, let's go ahead and Matt, we can start with some predictions. How do you think this match is going to go?
Yeah, let's do it. So I have seen a lot of Prospero. He does a great stream, very high production value, so got to respect that on his end. I have not seen any of Bug Hunter, so he's kind of a mystery coming out of the winners bracket here. I have not seen him in action. There's a on Prospero. We'll see if that works in his favor. Probably won't. But at the same time, Prospero's got a lot going for him. He's been very unpredictable, been able to play a lot of different characters well and play against a lot of different characters well. So maybe the lack of predictability on his end will be an advantage against Bug.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree there. I mean, we've seen Bug Hunter play a lot of the Little Red and Beowulf set. He's been having great success with that, but if Prospero is more of a jack of all trades with characters and he's able to pick good counter picks, that could definitely change things up and put the match in his favor. Because, for example, I would say Sinbad has a great matchup against both Red and Beowulf, due to both of those characters recoil effects on their defense cards, not really impacting voyages too much. And, you know, Sinbad will only take 2 damage, and he can deal huge damage over them. So I think that might be a good counter. I would expect to see some Sinbad from Prospero if Bug Hunter is going to be going with his traditional red and Beowulf strategy. As far as, you know, do you think we're going to see any of the big 3?
I would expect it. I mean, it's all on the line, and you want every advantage you can get at this stage in the game. But that being said, as you mentioned, Bug and Prospero both very capable with other fighters, you know, further down the tier list, so to speak. So I don't know if it's a sure thing. I would be shocked, frankly, if we didn't see any of the big 3. But at the same time, you mentioned Bug is very adept in the Red Wolf set, and we've seen a lot of different characters played by Prospero over the course of the tournament. So it's really hard to know at this point what's going through their heads.
Right. That is true. Yeah, again, I would expect to see the big 3. I don't know if we'll actually see much play of them because, you know, throughout the tournament, Bigfoot and Medusa, they've been banned pretty much, you know, every match that they've been in. I think Sherlock's seen a little bit more play on average, just because I think he might be a little bit easier to counter than Bigfoot and Medusa. They're just so consistent and so difficult to beat. So I would not be surprised to see some of them, you know, picked, but as far as played, I don't know if we'll see too much of that. So let's see. Do we have any fighter picks in from them yet, or are we still waiting on that? All right. So it looks like the picks are in. So, wow. Okay, Matt, you can see that on screen, I believe. I think
Yep.
I'm really surprised to see Bug Hunter as the only one with one of the big 3. He's got Medusa there. Prospero didn't go with any of those. That is really surprising.
So maybe let's run down the list.
Yeah, so Prospero, we got...
Can't show that on screen.
Yeah, so with Prospero, we got Little Red, we got Dracula, and we got Alice. And then from Bug Hunter, we got Medusa, Buffy, and InGen. So again, I'm really surprised to see only one of the big 3 picked. You know, also I'm surprised to see Prospero picking Little Red because he's had great success against Red, from what I can tell throughout the tournament. And Bug, I think it's because he wants to steal Red from Bug because he's had such great success with her.
Yep, not surprised to see Prospero ban Baskerville. That's been his least favorite map in a lot of regards. And he also has probably seen that Bug is a big fan of Baskerville Manor, so I have to imagine that played into the mind games a little bit on the map bans.
Sure. Yeah, before we go into the map bans too, with the fighter lineups, do you think Prospero only picked Red to steal her, I should say, from Bug, or do you think Prospero's been practicing some Little Red, you know, in his off time?
Well, I have to imagine he followed the data pretty closely. I mean, it's all transparent out there in the results tracker, so he can go into that and look and make sure that he understands exactly what he's likely to be up against. You know, anything can change on the day of. You and I have both been victims of last-second strategies by our opponents to get in our heads a little bit, and it can throw you off. So we'll see how Bug responds, I guess.
Yeah. I honestly, you know what? Looking at those fighters, I think I would 100% expect Prospero to be banning Medusa just because she's one of the big 3. She's probably going to be the toughest one. I think it's a little bit tougher of a ban choice for Bug Hunter, though, against Prospero. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the bans, I mean, I don't see any hard counters here. You're the expert on that sort of stuff. But as far as, you know, my limited ability in this game goes, I don't really see some particular ban that stands out as a must-do. But I don't know. That's more your bailiwick. I'll defer to you on that.
Sure. I mean, you know, you did make top 6, though. That's the same ranking as me. So I don't know if I'm any more qualified than you to talk about this. But, yeah, so looking at the lineup, I mean, Bug Hunter is likely to be playing with InGen and Buffy. I'm thinking InGen probably has a better chance against Alice and Red than against Dracula. Personally, I've had some success with Dracula against InGen. I don't know if that's normally how it goes, but from my experience, I'm thinking he might want to ban Dracula because also Buffy can be pretty decent, I guess, against any fighter because she's so versatile with her sidekick choice. So I'm thinking Buffy could do pretty well against Alice. They're both probably relatively evenly matched. And as far as Little Red, I think if she goes with, he goes and has Buffy pick Xander, he might be able to put some pressure on Red and throw off her combos with the basket and maybe kill Huntsman off early, which would make things a lot easier for him there. So I guess I'm expecting Dracula to be banned by Bug Hunter, and probably Prospero is going to ban Medusa, is my thoughts. But yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm excited for the Muldoon Little Red matchup. That one definitely has me intrigued. I think there's a lot of potential there for mass killings off of those InGen workers.
Sure.
God rest their souls. So we'll see. We'll see if she can get her cards, that being Little Red, in a timely fashion and make that happen.
All right. Well, the bans are in. Oh, look at that. So Medusa and Dracula banned. So my prediction was right. I think it makes a lot of sense. So obviously they know what they're doing. And they wouldn't be in winners finals if they didn't. So that makes a lot of sense. And then how about the map bans again? What did we had Prospero and Bug Hunter. They each got one map ban after the fighters. And our banned maps, let's see what those are. You did mention, I believe, was it Bug Hunter banned Baskerville or Prospero? Okay, it looks like we have a Yukon ban. So I'm guessing Yukon was banned because of Muldoon or InGen. Because if you look, if InGen goes first on Yukon in that yellow space, he's able to put a worker all the way up top there near the dual zone, the orange and yellow, and he's able to double attack player 2 on his first turn if he so pleases. So I think Yukon was probably banned for that reason, and there's just those triple zones make it huge coverage for ranged fighters like Muldoon, and then as well as that red and purple loop. Muldoon is great at just sitting back in that loop, setting up traps and workers in the way, and just forcing his opponent to have a really tough time getting in on him in that loop, while he can just keep backing up to the opposite side of the loop, and there's no easy way around it for the opponent. It's just such a long ways around. So I think Yukon was probably a smart ban.
Are you getting PTSD seeing this after losing to Robin Hood with Muldoon against Bryden?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep, I definitely did not make the right call there. You learn from experience, so
yeah.
I got some experience to back up my thoughts on Yukon there. And then, go ahead.
Not at all surprised to see Baskerville here. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this is by far Bug's favorite map. He only picked 5 maps. That's what happens when you're so successful in the tournament, but 3 of those 5 were Baskerville. I think it plays really well into his Little Red strategy. You can post up with the Huntsman, keep him safe, let him execute his healing cards to keep Little Red in the game. That top right zone is a perfect spot where there's only one entry point if you sit on it with the secret passage. And then Little Red can just run around wreaking havoc. She's got a couple cards that boost her movement, give her an extra action, so she pretty much has the whole board at her disposal to the degree that she wants it. Makes a lot of sense why he would want to play this, and obviously why Prospero would counter and ban it.
Yeah, I agree. Baskerville has probably been the most banned map, I would say, in the tournament. For obvious reasons, with the secret passages, it's just an extra element that people aren't really as prepared for, as well as, like you said, that top right corner, being able to put your fighter that you want to keep safe in that corner and put your sidekick right in front of them so they can't get to your main target. That's just huge for the defensive play.
All right. I see we picked our stuff in place, so I guess I'll kick us off.
Oh, no, hold on.
Looks like players are getting set up at the moment, so we should be going into the game on Vorpal shortly.
I'm just looking at the data, John, and Baskerville far and away the most banned map, happening in 50% of the games. 27 out of the 54 we've tracked as far as matches. Yep.
Wow. I mean, I'm really not surprised, but that's a huge number. And do we have?
Looks like we'll have Joshua
fighters
joining us.
Oh, perfect. Perfect timing.
All the way from Singapore. Truly a global community, the Unmatched community.
It really is.
Cool.
Yeah, it really is. We've had people in the tournament from all over the country, all over the United States, you know, across multiple different time zones. So it's really incredible that we've been able to, you know, bring all these people together and coordinate something like this. It's been a lot of fun. I just realized, Matt, I may have been mixing them up when talking about the fighter lineups. Because looks like Bug did have Little Red. Is that correct?
Oh, that makes infinitely more sense.
Yeah.
I was going to say he's picked Little Red every single time when he has an option of going first and snagging her. So
right.
That's perfect. So just to be clear, Bug picked Little Red, Dracula, and Alice. Prospero picked Muldoon, Buffy, and Medusa. Prospero's Medusa was banned by Bug, and Bug's Dracula was banned by Prospero.
Okay. Yeah, that does make a lot more sense. I thought maybe Prospero was just, you know, picking Little Red to steal her.
Yep. So we will see the master at work with Little Red.
Yes,
that's exciting.
Perfect.
No Beowulf though. I'm a little surprised to see no Beowulf.
Me too. I am definitely surprised at that. Although, you know, Prospero has a 2-0 win streak against Red with Muldoon at the moment.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. So I mean, he's got to feel good about this. You know, to date, undefeated, playing Muldoon into Little Red.
Right.
He's got a strategy. He loves that surrounder with traps move and then play the they should all be destroyed card for max damage. So we'll see if he can pull that off.
Right. Oh, and looks like we are all set up for the game. It looks like they're about to get started. We are getting our InGen versus Little Red match right here off the bat. That's excellent.
Sweet.
And Joshua, you there with us?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Just finished setting up the board for them.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well, thanks for joining us. And sorry, you know, you're probably a little rushed right now, but you're all here. It's all good now, so let's just enjoy. We're going to watch some high-quality Unmatched here. So it looks like Prospero is going first. He set a trap, and he's going to... looks like he maneuvered. So I'm really wondering if we're going to see, Matt, like you said, that, you know, the call for backup to lay all the traps around and then they should all be destroyed for max damage. I would really like to see that in this game, his signature move.
Yep, no doubt.
I am going to have worker attack.
Oh, it looks like he's attacking first turn. Probably smart against Red. Although she does have the wild card, you know, in her basket at the start. You want to probably try and just throw off her game plan, because if you let her go with a wild card, she's free to go do any type of offensive play that she likes. Whereas this forces her into, you know, less options come the start of her turn. but that was a really
That is
great.
a regroup
Yeah.
into eyes.
What a wow. Regroup into red only has 2 of the what big eyes you have, so that's really a big win there, I would say, for Prospero.
He's been so good with the regroup fake outs throughout. That made a big difference in his win against Bryden.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it shows right here.
Takes some
And
stones to
not
do
only
it, but
It's not only that, but the fact that Bug is using eyes so early means that red might not have many defenses in her hand.
True, yeah, that's a really good point. He may have been forced to play the eyes just, for fear of taking big direct damage. And again, I mean, that's just the benefit of going first and being aggressive. You maneuver up, and you have 6 cards to their 5, so you have more options than they do, and you just, put the aggression on them early. It just forces sometimes some suboptimal plays. Another big win for Prospero, feinting what big hands or what large hands you have. So the hands card, that can be a huge pain in the butt for anybody with multi-sidekicks with the 1 HP, because it just returns to your hand after every attack, so you can just kill them off for free, but that was a big feint canceling that.
yeah, it's a tough call for Muldoon because on the other hand, you'd love that feint a little later in the game for some other card effects, but it's probably the right call early to get that out and dead.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, there's no way, he could have known 100% that that's what it was, but with red attacking a worker, it's more likely to be, I would say, more of a throwaway card, so to speak, rather than like a big power attack, probably saving those more so against Muldoon.
Another nice fake out.
Yeah. Regroup into the basket. Now, was that Prospero's first action or second?
First,
That was the
I
first.
believe.
Okay. Even better, because if that was his last action, again, it would set red up with a wild card in her basket to do whatever she pleases. But with Prospero potentially being able to attack again, that could mean some trouble for Bug. So it looks like he is attacking again. Probably a smart move.
So in this matchup, do you think you would bother going for the Huntsmen to take out the healing schemes, or do you think Little Red is just never gonna make it through the game?
So my thought on that is that you'd have to invest 9 damage into Huntsman to kill him, and he only provides pretty much 8 healing most often. So with Muldoon being ranged and all the workers as well, being able to just shoot red and not really let the Huntsman get in the way as much as like a melee fighter, I think it's probably the right call to just stay aggressive on red herself.
Stones in the belly, second shot, so that's a 5, no damage goes through. But then I get to move you 3 spaces.
That stones in the belly was good here because Prospero is so low on cards in hand. Although, if Bug, he also doesn't have many cards in hand, and he's so far away from Muldoon himself, I don't know if he's really going to be able to capitalize off of that too well. What a great map choice, though. I'm guessing Prospero picked this map, Marmorail. It's just so good for Muldoon. He can have a worker pretty much covering like every zone while Muldoon just sits back safely.
If I'm not wrong, this exact matchup with this exact map has been played before in the tournament.
I believe you're right. I think Prospero did play this map in the tournament. I believe it was him.
Alright. Well, in that case, start of my turn, I am going to get a trap here. And then first action is going to be maneuver.
It's funny, Bug loves to ban this map, so I wonder what convinced him to go with Yukon instead. He's banned Marmorail 3 times of the 4 maps he's banned in the entire tournament.
And I'm going to maneuver again and draw a card.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I mean, I guess they're both really tough against Muldoon.
And it's your turn.
I think personally I would rather play on this map against Muldoon, as difficult as it is. Like, there's just more interconnected spaces, so there's a few more ways you can get to Muldoon himself rather than that horrible Yukon loop.
You're still triggered.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I wasn't the only one who experienced that too. I saw another stream game. I believe it was Sinbad versus Muldoon on Yukon, and it was just brutal. You know, Porter was killed early, and then Muldoon was able to just hide in that loop, and Sinbad was just not able to reach him. So I think this one is just a little bit better than Yukon for Bug. Like in the position they're in right now, Red could go up and pop that trap and hit Muldoon. You know, she's going to take a damage and give Prospero a card in doing so, but it's an option.
Okay.
John and Joshua, is this a matchup that
Prepping here.
goes to exhaustion, where you could maybe play those traps against Muldoon?
Set up and ready.
I don't know, Joshua, what do you
In that
think?
case, I'm going to
I don't think
start
so.
trap up here.
Red tends to run her
Um,
hand and deck down pretty quickly. That was my experience playing her a few times in the tournament. So I don't know if that's a sustainable strategy long term, but it's always an option, like you say, John, to keep things interesting if Muldoon gets a little too excited on the overdraws.
Mm-hmm. And Prospero does have a lot of traps out at the moment, so, you know, maybe Bug Hunter later on in the game can start using Huntsman with that high health total just to run into traps, just to pop them and make Prospero draw.
I do think it's easy to overdraw with red if you're trying to match all your symbols, but the trick is you don't have to match your draw 2 card. And that's often good to avoid matching. It's the wolf skin, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is correct. Because, yeah, you might not want to draw all those extra cards. You know, it's not great then. It's only a blank 2 defense, but it's definitely better than nothing.
And same with Never Leave the Path. I don't think you ever really want to draw 3 cards out of that.
I would agree
It's a
with
lot
that.
stronger with the 2 damage for everyone in the zone.
Yeah, getting the 2 damage to every fighter in the zone is huge on this map and in this matchup. If you could pull one of those off and kill a couple workers at once, as well as maybe damaging Muldoon himself, that could be a huge turning point.
And note that it works really well in Marmorail, because even though the workers right now may be in separate zones, but if Red goes to the triple zone on the bridge, or the balcony, she can get all 4 of them.
Yep. She does need the right item in the basket. She needs the daggers. So we'll see if maybe Bug can set that up right here. It looks like he just maneuvered. He could boost if he has that card. He could boost the maneuver with a dagger and then play Never Leave the Path and deal the 2 damage to everybody. That would be a huge play right here.
Attack with Little Red.
But compared to some other fighters, it still might not be enough because Muldoon can bring them back twice.
Yeah.
So if you did that against Dracula or Robin Hood, those sidekicks are going to be out for most of the game. It just might not be enough against Muldoon.
That is, yeah, it's very true. You know, although we've seen, though, some of the good cards used up by Red already, she hasn't taken any damage. Oh, that was huge right there, though. That's the second hand's gone, second feint. So, killing off these workers is going to be infinitely harder now for Red.
And the hands are generally a saving grace for Little Red when she's running out of cards. It's similar to Sinbad and his voyage home regaining attack cards. Because some of her schemes just gain actions and they aren't passes. So
Right.
what you really want is more attack cards.
Right, and with both of those hands now being in the discard pile, that really hurts in the matchup.
I'm not going to place a trap.
Okay.
But on the other hand, the feints are mostly gone, and if you can get 6
I'm going to
damage out of the Once Upon a Time on Muldoon himself,
have
that's 8 more damage you need to deal.
I'm gonna
Never Leave the Path can give 4 maximum.
Yep,
That's 10.
10, yep. That's still a lot of
And
health.
Long Have I Sought You can deal
and
2
then
over
I'm
all
going
his
to
best defenses, so
That
it's
is,
theoretically
yeah,
possible.
that's a good point.
Dune,
Because the
attack.
Long Have I Sought You, it's a 4 that becomes a 6 if adjacent. So if he can get Huntsman adjacent, that would deal 2 over a feint because it would cancel the buff, and it would deal 2 over a leap away or his blue card, both being 4s. So there's 3 of those in deck. That could theoretically be 6 more damage. And then Red still does have 6 auto damage, I believe, in
Yes, I didn't actually want
Once Upon a Time.
Yes, and let's not forget what a big terrible mouth you have. A terrible big mouth you have.
Yes,
Which
that's
can bounce
the
back
recoil.
a 4 attack if he signals that by using Call for Backup for traps, you can bounce back 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf skin.
So Red, the game is definitely not out of reach for Red.
First damage of the game.
Here's the first damage. Yeah, look at
Big
that.
fella.
First blood.
Yeah. I'm down to 13. And my after combat goes first, so I'll draw 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
So he did trigger the wolf skin here, though, drawing 2,
Yep,
putting
and
him
I
at
will review-
17 cards in deck for Red, and 18 in deck for InGen. So Red is going to have to be a little aggressive, I feel, and make some plays here. I don't think she's winning the long game. I should say the fatigue game.
Oh, no, that's the one I just used. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Time's on top.
I'm going to. I keep wanting to use the WASD keys to move around this map.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to maneuver.
So it looks like Bug Hunter's going to go maneuver. He's up to 8 cards, so you got to think he's making an attack this turn. Now the question I would think is he going to try and kill a worker with red, or is he going to bring Huntsman over, pop the trap, and try and hit Muldoon finally? Looks like he's going with red into the worker.
No blocks.
No blocks. Okay.
Ooh,
That's one time.
that was a big card used against a worker.
So we'll just go top row 1, 2, and then bottom row 5.
This is not the one that takes a card.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, dang it. I played the wrong card. That's hilarious.
Oh, no.
Mistake.
When you flipped out, I'm like, oh,
I
great.
can't believe I did that. Yep. Yeah, congrats to you.
That's not good.
The card text is so small, I can't actually read it when I'm zoomed out, and I just, picked the wrong one. Okay, cool. 3 extra damage to
Yeah, that Hydrogen worker
that
dies
worker.
a lot.
Yeah, he's super dead. I really wanted to kill that one. Yep. All right, you're done.
Well, you succeeded.
Yep.
All right. Well, you got stacks of cards there.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for Bug Hunter there. The stones in the belly,
Wolfsbane,
as he meant to play
basket.
there, would have been much better. It likely would have killed the worker, even if the worker was defending. It would have knocked a card out of Prospero's hand. But unfortunately, that was the Once Upon a Time, which dealt that 3 extra damage to the worker unnecessarily.
I'm going to have this worker attack Huntsman.
Okay, for the long-term positioning prospects, do you think Little Red should start moving into Muldoon and getting through the traps, or should she position herself somewhere where Muldoon has to come adjacent to attack her?
I think that's really hard to do on this map. I don't know if there's any spots where he necessarily has to go adjacent, but like in that purple zone, he could force Prospero to get close at least. Maybe not adjacent, but close enough to get a retaliation attack on his turn. But I think it might also be okay to just put Huntsman in there, although he does have much less defense. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, you go ahead and do it.
Okay. Leap away.
Oh, okay. So we see a leap away being used on offense, which is
And
not a usual thing you see with Muldoon, because that is one of his few, important defense cards. But maybe Prospero feels that it's okay because
hang out there.
Bug has
Next
not
red.
been pushing any aggression towards Muldoon himself, so maybe he feels like
And
that's
then
okay to
I'm
use
going to go
on
ahead
offense.
and maneuver to draw a card. And that maneuver is going to look
Yeah, John and
something
Joshua, in an
like-
optimal sense too, you don't want to do too much damage to red early, knowing that Huntsman can heal it all back. So if he feels he can kill off the Huntsman relatively quickly, then he's not wasting damage on red that will inevitably be healed.
Mm-hmm. That is a great point, and he did get a straight 4 damage into Huntsman, almost half his health, so that was pretty big. Huntsman likely can still take 2 more attacks before dying. It is possible that Prospero could use a second shot boosted to 5, or a they should all be destroyed from Muldoon himself if Huntsman is next to a trap to deal 5, but it's more likely that he's still going to take 2 more attacks before dying.
Make sure I read my card.
Well, one major problem is not with Huntsman dying. It's not even the healing schemes. It's the fact that the Huntsman is often the one to remove the trap, so Little Red can boost in. And if the Huntsman is gone, Little Red will be wasting an extra action.
Yeah, very good point, because you can see 4 traps on the board right now. If Huntsman were to go step on all those, he's down to 1 health. So if he takes any more attacks, he's going to be significantly worse at removing those traps for red to get in.
Given the card disparity, now's the time you want to double attack Muldoon, but it's just looking unlikely.
Yep. It's just hard to get in, and now it just makes it that much harder for Bug to want to go in with Huntsman to attack Muldoon, even from ranged, because he's open to the retaliation attack.
We're going to use Scheme.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Move up 3 spaces. There.
In case anyone wants to keep track of the deck counts, it's 17 for InGen and 15 for Little Red, even though InGen started first.
Yep. I think Bug did draw 2 from the wolf skin card, and Prospero has not had any of his traps popped yet, so that makes sense there. I don't think Prospero has drawn. Well, he did draw 1, I guess, from a regroup.
No blocks.
Okay. We're going to be able to anyway, unless there's a feint, I guess.
Ooh.
We'll
So
one.
that was really smart of Prospero to just take the hit. The what big eyes you have, since Bug did have that Wolfsbane in the basket, it would have ignored and canceled Prospero's defense anyways. So probably
burned a
smart to
very
just
annoying
take that and
card,
let the
so
worker die.
You did your job. Alright, well, my turn then.
I mean, anything can happen, but Prospero's pretty much played a flawless game to this point. He's won almost every either-or chance in the game to date.
Shots on Little Red.
He really has. He didn't defend against the eyes. He got undefended leap away. He feinted both of the hands from Bug. Yeah, you're right. So, okay, this is
Mouth you have. The
what a
printed
terrible big mouth. So red
Yep,
is going to be dealing 3
that's-
recoil
seems
damage
to be the
with her
case.
after combat effect, but also shoot her bumps up to a 5.
Mouth you
So
have.
they're both going to be taking 3 from that exchange, which I would be very happy about as Prospero. I would count that as
So
another
that-
win
that
in
was
the
my
card
first
interactions.
action.
Although 3 auto damage, against Muldoon, who only has 14 health and no healing, is pretty significant. You're only really going to get better than that, I guess, if it was against the 4. So
Second is
I
going
wouldn't
to
be too disappointed with
a
that one as Bug.
maneuver.
Yeah, with Little Red, I think it's as good a time to use it as any, because you have that wolf skin in your basket,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it's basically a 3, so it's not a regroup, it's not a
Like so.
feint, and it's not directed at an engine worker, so
Yep,
I think that was the best time to use it.
I definitely agree with that.
Maneuver.
I think the biggest chance for Little Red to win now is to use scheme damage and recoil damage. It's not likely, but it's still in the theoretical range.
Mm-hmm. So let's think. If Bug can pull off both of his schemes, the Never Leave the Path, and hit Muldoon both times, that would be 4 damage, putting Muldoon at 7. If he can get another 3 auto with the terrible Big Mouth, you could put him down to 4, and then I guess the Huntsman could deal the extra 4 if he can get his big attacks before dying off.
And you still have 1 more recoil damage with what a terrible big mouth you have.
Yeah, I was counting that one down. So if you do 4
Oh.
and then 3, that puts Muldoon at 4 health remaining, because that would be 7. So I think that's what
Yeah.
Bug is going to be looking to do.
Definitely possible. That misplay on the Once Upon a Time, though, just kills you, because
Oh, yeah.
the more cards out for red, especially in a high caliber game between these two guys, the more predictable she is. There's no way around that. She really can't play suboptimally at this point. Every card effect pretty much needs to land. So it's just going to be telegraphed that much more, and Prospero can deal with it as he chooses.
I mean, that's true, although Prospero only has one more feint, I believe, and one more regroup, if I'm correct. So as
Yes,
far as
he's used to early game.
yeah, so as far as faking out the terrible big mouth recoil damage, you know, he's not gonna have a ton of ways to do that. I guess he does have a second shot that he could use as well to only take 2 recoil. But still, that's only 3 cards left in deck that would allow him to do that. And then I forgot Bug does have one more of the Once Upon a Time, if I'm correct, which would be 3 more auto. And so if Bug can pull off the 3 auto from Once Upon a Time, 4 from the schemes, that's 7, and then 3 more, or even 2 more only, with the recoil, that would put Muldoon down to 2 health, which 1 attack from an adjacent huntsman can finish him off. So I'm definitely not counting Bug out of this yet. He did have a little slip up, but he's playing well. He's coming back, it looks like. At least a little bit.
Yeah, the question is how soon Call for Backup will be played, because bringing in all the workers right now, even though one is still in, you're just never going to touch Muldoon in time.
Right. I think this is a good opportunity right here. If okay, looks like he's got something else in mind. Maybe this is the scheme.
I got knives in basket.
All right.
2 damage.
There we go.
It is.
Never leave the path. So it's going to pop that last worker as well as deal the 2 to Muldoon.
Ah, yes.
Huntsman is currently safe in the purple. Even if Muldoon uses Call for Backup, he will not be able to attack Huntsman. So that was definitely a good play there from Bug. I would definitely expect to see the Call for Backup now from Prospero, though.
Scheme.
And he's scheming, I think.
I think he was just saying that Bug schemed.
Oh.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Okay, I'm gonna start with a trap here.
I'm still surprised we have not seen any
Then
traps pop the whole
I'm going
game yet.
to Shoot.
I think maybe
Red.
Bug realizes that he's likely not winning the long game, so he's not trying to pop the traps and give Prospero more hand advantage and extra damage.
Okay.
And
This
that's
seems-
smart, because once you play all your traps, you can just pop the ones that stop you from getting to Muldoon. You don't have to go through all of them.
Exactly, whereas if you're popping him every turn trying to get to him, that's just so many more you got to deal with. This could be a perfect time for the recoil card, the terrible big mouth, though, from Bug. Yeah, that would have been
Good
huge,
block, at
but
least.
good block. Yep, so the basket,
How many offensive leapaways has he used?
I think that's the second one.
I do still
That's 2. 1 more left.
So, yeah, Prospero does
He
not
does
win the
have to be
combat.
careful.
That's true, he only has 1 leap away, 1 feint, 1 regroup, and then he has 2 of the blues.
You've got that nice wild there. Top of your basket. He's gonna attack red again.
Okay.
So it looks like Prospero is attacking a second time.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
So he feinted a stones in the belly, so he will not have to discard, although that is his last feint.
That card can suck it.
Yeah.
Your turn.
You're out of feints though. I've counted.
Still a win for Prospero. if he just even lost one call for backup to a discard random card effect from that Stones in the Belly, it would be a monster shift.
That is
So
true.
getting that out into the discard is a big win for sure.
Yep, that is true.
At this point, would you consider using a Huntsman attack suboptimally just to burn Muldoon's cards? His probability of having a good defense isn't that high anymore.
I mean, I would definitely expect him to have at least one. I don't think he would be attacking with these defense cards, or these versatiles, I should say, if he didn't. But I still do not think that that's a bad idea, because at this point, Prospero really only has 3 real defense cards, which is very scary. He's got the 2 blues and 1 more leap away, which can block, you know, one of the Huntsman's red cards. But he's only got a couple, so I think things are actually turning around a little bit for Bug here. Oh, looks like we got to do a little refresh here.
Oh dear. Is that a disconnect? Let me handle it.
Yeah, you are the Vorpal master here, Joshua.
Okay.
Oh, what happened to the deck there for Bug? It looks like we got some extra cards that need to be returned to deck. I'm still seeing some extra cards on the screen. Joshua, are you seeing those?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to figure out what they are.
Okay. Let me do a refresh. I think Prospero confirmed that they are all good, so maybe that's just on our end. Yeah, it looks like they're good. We're back in business over here, yep.
So John, we had a second Into the Woods. We had already seen the
first Into the Woods,
flower
yep,
labeled
the
one,
flower,
and
yep.
this was the wolf one.
Oh, look at that, perfect. The scheme into the heel, so that puts red back up to full, while Muldoon is only at 9 and still looks like does not have a call for backup. Although he could have it in his hand,
And
and maybe he just chose to take a double attack opportunity last turn while he had it.
the later call for backup is used, the less important it is because they're gonna dive if they ever get to fatigue.
Mm-hmm. That's true too. Again, I really don't think this game's coming down to fatigue. We have Bug has 10 cards left in deck with red, and Prospero has 14 left with InGen. But then again, there are 5 traps on board, so could be wrong.
It always comes down to fatigue light situations, right? I mean, it may not be an actual exhaustion death,
Yeah,
but
we're gonna go right
it's factoring
here.
into the strategy big time in most of the late games in the tournament.
Right.
Especially with a character like Muldoon, who
And
is so
then-
wily and has featured in so many close matches, I feel like, over the last 50-odd games played.
Definitely. Yeah, we've seen a lot of late game Muldoon. I think that's just how he is as a
Go maneuver
character.
again, draw a card, and then just let you go.
Okay. Alright.
Let's take a second to admire these guys' attire as well. Prospero is all dressed up. Bug Hunter's got his, looks like his band gear on. I know he does play music. You can see that guitar in the background on the piano. So he looks like he's ready to play an acoustic gig. And Prospero is definitely all suited up for the occasion as well.
They're putting me to shame, John. I'm just rocking the Ben Wyatt Cones of Dunshire shirt.
Oh, you got your suit jacket on.
That's true. I try.
Yeah. Looking good, Matt. Looks like we're seeing a Huntsman attack here onto Muldoon, so that should be one of 3. Yep, one of 3 big defenses down. Gonna leave only 2 left for Prospero.
One long have I sought you out. And
You did
nothing
do
of
that
that.
once.
Did I? Oh, right, I was defending.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Ooh, looks like he's getting ready to try to take out Huntsman here.
Here.
That could mean big trouble for Bug.
and I'm going to start my turn with a scheme.
Okay.
I'm, to no one's surprise, calling for backup.
Oh, are we gonna see it right here?
And the 2 that I choose is to place up to 3 traps and place all my defeated.
This patented
opponents.
move.
I could see that. Yeah.
And so
Huntsman
the
is gonna
traps
have
are
4
going to be
traps around
1,
him. That puts they should all be destroyed at an 8,
3.
which
Oh,
will
no.
kill him.
And the IGen
Have we
workers are
seen
going
all
to
3
be
stones used?
1,
We've seen 2.
2.
Okay, so that is the only card that Bug is going to be able to play to keep
3.
Huntsman alive. Otherwise, Huntsman's dead
Just in case.
because it will be an 8
You know,
over a
you know,
2.
Gotta have a backup guy.
Yeah.
And then I attack Huntsman.
So we better hope Bug has the stones here. And he does.
This is an 8.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to take a 3 from you and hold on.
Good stuff from Bug.
You still have the stones in the, you still have another stones in the belly.
Although, if he hits
yeah.
Prospero's
I tried
one
to
of
play
his
earlier
blue cards,
and,
it's only a
failed to,
1 boost value.
so-
And Huntsman will
That's
still
pretty
die,
used that.
although that would hurt big time to have
So you got
one of
4
the 2
cards.
blues
I
hit
do.
out of Prospero's
Roll a
hand.
D4.
Mhm.
It comes after 2. So I'm thinking of that as that card.
Yep. That's pretty
You
neat.
want to flip that for me?
Okay. Boink.
All right.
Oh, he did hit a
I do
3.
hold on.
Mm-hmm.
3 boost value on tactical advance. So
I'll take
stones is
3
going to be
for
a
that.
5 value.
So yeah, an 8
Against
and you
the
had
8
5, so yeah, you'll
value.
take 3.
They should all be destroyed, dealing 3.
Okay.
And Huntsman lives.
2, 3.
Man, that was the biggest.
Yeah.
They should all be destroyed I've ever set up.
Yeah. No, it was really good. It was really good. I'm glad.
I think it's the
wasn't
biggest I've
over
ever
red,
seen,
'cause,
too.
I think it's the biggest I have as
be
well.
on my
That
meat
was
deal.
huge.
Yeah. Okay.
We talked about it in the
Okay.
prep. That's his patented move. He's
There-
done it
Yes.
before. He'll probably do it again if he
I
can.
will maneuver.
But that's just a massive win for Bug, because if he has another one of those long have I saw it use,
Okay.
he's getting a minimum 2
I
damage
made that
through.
mistake once.
That basically does sacrifice Huntsman in this scenario, though, because he's going to take 1 to get up to Muldoon, and he's likely going to take an attack and get killed off.
So would you go for it there?
I would probably... Yeah, that's really hard to say. He could back
He-
Huntsman over to the right side into the purple, and he could be safe over there, but he's still at 1 health at that point and likely to die, so maybe you just take the shot while you can get it.
That's my thinking. You hate to leave possible 4 health on the table from his second Grimtail,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that Prospero is going to let him live long enough to get it off if he indeed has it. And Red's full health anyway.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think the concern is more so the Grim Tail as it is the just Huntsman being able to attack from range and having a couple more big attacks to get into Muldoon.
Makes you draw.
It does.
Because again, Prospero only has his 2 blue defense cards
Yep,
left, and
that's
that's
fine.
it.
I'll take damage.
1 regroup, but that's basically not a
And
defense.
then I will maneuver again.
But it looks like he is taking the cautious defensive route, which I don't disagree with. He's just gonna
There.
really have to make sure he keeps Huntsman safe here.
Your turn.
But any attack is going to take him out
Okay.
because,
Mm-hmm. He can only
well,
defend with
almost
a
any
2.
attack. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now that all the stones are gone.
True.
You've
So
got,
the other thing though is maybe he just didn't have one of the red
just one
attacks
top,
for Huntsman,
so
and in
it's
that
gonna
case,
be,
it definitely makes more sense to back him off.
maneuver.
100%. Yeah, if you don't have it, that play is not a play at all. So
Yep.
at this point, it just comes down to that card sequencing we always talk about. Do you
Yeah.
get what you
This
need
one
when you
puts
need
me
it?
on Here.
Mhm.
And if not, you got to adapt on the fly.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. And then I'm also gonna move
You think
this
you might see a
worker
regroup attack on
here,
Huntsman?
To kill him off and draw 2?
Here,
I think it's possible, although
and then
I would, if I'm Prospero, I would more so just want to guarantee a kill on him by playing maybe a tactical advance than I would risking a regroup.
Shot on Huntsman from this worker.
I'm just asking from the audience perspective of wanting to see the deck counts even out a bit.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, so we're at what, 7 right now for Bug
7
with
to
red
10.
and 10 on Muldoon. Yep.
Okay.
So I think Bug's debating whether or not he even defends here. It looks like the worker's attacking Huntsman, and I'm surprised to see a defense. I would expect it to be the Wolfskin.
Any shot
Yep.
versus Wolf's.
Yep.
So that was
skin,
the
which
Wolfskin was
you-
just to protect agaget that potential
and you also
regroup
don't get to draw
attack.
cards with that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Because
You
he
said
didn't
don't
match
worry.
the
I say
symbols
don't
there.
worry.
He needed the
That's
Wolfskin,
true, we
and
are,
we had the
Getting down there.
Wolf's Bane
Alright,
in
so that
basket.
makes
So
it your turn.
Bug did not want to draw there, so he was probably okay with just tossing that card, just to safeguard against the regroup.
Well,
But more importantly, I got
Or he might be
two
setting up another
long hand by
knife.
slot use and one.
That's a good point
Stupid
as well.
healing.
He could be setting up for his
That's
turn
the more
coming
important
up.
part of that.
that is.
He could right now. He could potentially
glad
scheme
that
with the
I
last
didn't
into the
not
woods,
do
which
it
is a
and
knives as
Come
well.
to your regroup.
Pop the
That would've
trap,
been annoying,
maneuver up to
so
Muldoon, and hit him
I'll
with
take that
like a
outcome
Once Upon a Time.
overall.
Embarrassing, I think, would have been a.
Yeah.
And with no more feints left, that Once Upon a Time is guaranteed to deal 3 auto damage past Prospero's blue defense.
Okay, I'm gonna maneuver.
Okay.
With the
It's a
maneuver,
tough call, John, because if he does that, he's setting himself up to be obliterated by another. They should all be destroyed. He'll have
well, he
3
only
traps around
no,
him.
he would be over
He
here.
can't call for
Actually,
backup.
With this guy. 'cause as soon as
Yep.
it-
So if
Yeah,
Red was
it's
here
called
or
trigger
here
this
and went
trap.
popped
There's
this trap and then
two
maneuvered over
traps
here,
and
she would only have been adjacent to one trap that
Here.
Muldoon's standing on, and he doesn't have any more traps left.
Got it. I was expecting to see him go the other way, but you're right. That makes a lot more sense.
Maneuver again. Well, am I? Hold on. Yeah, I'll maneuver again.
Yeah, it looks like he was debating maneuvering a second time to try and close the gap against Muldoon or maybe attack that worker.
Okay. And I
He is
will
really running low on cards though. Now he only has 5 cards left in deck to
one.
Prospero's 9, and Prospero still has another call for backup as well as remote detonations that he can toss as passes.
All right. Just
So
one.
he's not going to fatigue anytime soon. I don't think Red can
Well,
afford
I
to
will.
pop all these traps and make him draw.
Maneuver.
It's not even about afford. You can only pop a maximum of 2 or 3 traps a turn.
Yeah,
I make
and
two
yeah, time is running out for Bug.
That's how you're gonna replace
That's
the
my
huntsman.
secret.
So
That's my
I do
secret
think
trick.
we are
I'll do
going
2
to
red.
run into a fatigue issue
Um,
here for Red.
Two. Daggers on top. No. And then this worker is going to take a shot on Red.
Okay. I will.
Also, with Prospero's current
Let's have that
placing
one.
of the workers,
Okay.
Red cannot pop multiple of them with her scheme if Bug has that here, which may
And
be what
then
he's
I get to
working
move all my
towards.
workers'
Um,
spaces,
so
I'm
that
just
that's
going
really
to
good positioning from Prospero,
Pop this guy back.
just safeguarding against that card.
Okay.
Your turn.
That's an undefended attack.
Okay.
Yep, undefended 3.
I will.
Not huge damage, but every little bit counts.
And you're last into the woods.
Ooh, okay, so we can see a potential.
Ah.
Well, we can't see a double attack if Prospero defends
You've
with his
got
blue.
me.
Yeah.
But he can hit with the Once Upon a Time here. That's what I would expect to see.
What do I do?
It's a little tough because
Great question.
he can't attack with Once Upon a Time and use his scheme that he may like to use
I
in the same
figured you might.
time. Because the
And
basket
you also
symbols
don't
wouldn't
have
match
that
up.
many symbols left to match up.
Figures.
Okay, so
Okay, so
he
that's
he
the
knocked out one of the defense cards
Big ears you
with
have,
big ears,
and,
which may be setting
uh,
up
after combat, I
for
get to
move.
All your fighters.
to five.
He could be setting
all
up
my
for
fighters,
the terrible big mouth
which
recoil
will look
damage
something
here.
Like, um,
If he can bait that out, that would be huge.
Yeah, but with all those workers, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think Prospero's going to attack with Muldoon himself. I think it's just going to be
Yeah.
workers. And with those traps littered around the garden there, it's going to be a really difficult time for Red to get in for any more attacks. And if Prospero just doesn't attack with Muldoon, that means he's not taking recoil damage from Once Upon a Time or from
Like
Terrible Big Mouth. And things just
And you
aren't
have one
looking
more
too
action.
good for Bug at this point.
Absolutely.
okay.
Going to get
I do drop.
And I take a damage. 9 to 9.
Yep.
Okay, so it looks like Bug is gonna try to start popping
It
those
is.
traps.
I'm gonna go ahead and start us off with a shot on red from Muldoon.
Ooh. Here is this is Bug's opportunity to defend with the terrible big mouth and deal some recoil to Muldoon himself. He does have the basket item lined up.
This is huge. Is it the last regroup?
That is a good point, although a regroup would draw cards, and that is pushing the limit there for Prospero's fatigue game.
Right.
Oh.
And the one's in the basket, no damage, but I do get to move you 3 spaces. And so that's going to look like 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Oops. Bird.
I'll take 1.
Yep, I'm trying to get that trap. There we go.
You draw a card.
I do draw to hand 1 card. And then
Is there anything more disheartening playing Little Red than seeing the basket come out, knowing everything's on the table?
Yeah, I don't know.
Muldoon is attacking me again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there aren't that many options realistically for Red at this point, just because it's so late in the game. Like you said earlier, Matt, you know,
Yep.
she just doesn't have that many options left. So it's a little less worrisome from Prospero's perspective.
So you got me for 3, I got you for 3.
Okay,
Yep.
he did pull off 3 auto, which is good, but he also took 3, which is
That
not
is your last
ideal.
once upon a time.
I wish I hadn't burned that earlier one.
Yeah, you know, Bug bringing up that
Which brings us
earlier
to
misplay,
your
that
turn.
really is
Okay.
could be the deal breaker here, because this game is so close.
I will.
If you got that 3 other auto on Muldoon would be
Okay.
sitting at 3 right now, which, you know, he still has the other scheme for 2 and still has that recoil defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I will boost that.
Okay.
So I can reach you.
Is he? Yeah, discarding the boost.
And I will attack. Muldoon with Little Red.
Block.
Alright.
And so no damage, and I get to move all my all my people up to 5 spaces.
Correct.
That's gonna look something like 1, 2, 3. Well, actually here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
So Muldoon can block 1 damage
And I'm
at
good.
this point
Okay.
from a direct attack. A single
so my turn?
regroup left.
Your
That's
turn.
all that stands in the way.
Gonna maneuver.
Yeah, that is
Draw card hand.
pretty good news for Bug, although he's so low on cards in hand and in deck. I don't know if he's going to be able to actually reach Muldoon to take advantage of
Then
that
I
at this
will,
point. Although, it does look like Prospero is still playing with his workers spread out on purpose to
Remotely
dodge that
detonate.
scheme.
This trap.
And
Draw a card.
And you
if
take 1
he
damage.
continues to do that, he does leave Muldoon open. Like, in this situation right now, if Bug wants to maneuver and boost around that purple
Brings us to
side,
your turn.
he will be able to
Mhm.
hit Muldoon, which is a little risky, I think, from
I will
Prospero.
maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You
since he
need 1 more card in hand.
maneuver, boost, attack. I mean, Bug can leave himself with 1 card left in hand still and still get an attack here. And if that one card left is maybe a recoil, I don't know. That might be his only chance right
What
here
are
is
the
to
cards I
boost
have on the
in,
counter
maybe hit
is
with a
wrong.
basket.
I have that you still have 6
Basket
cards,
would
you
deal
have 5,
3 if
so
Prospero defends with
I
regroup,
miscounted
putting Muldoon
somewhere.
at 3.
Yeah.
And then if
I'm
the
on board.
recoil can deal 3,
And the discard pile is
that
so
could end the
annoying
game.
to look through in Vorpal.
Although, if I'm Prospero and I get hit down to 3 here with a wild card in the basket, I'm not attacking Bug with Muldoon.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah.
Run for the hills.
Yeah.
Or the battlements, as it were.
Yeah, and these guys are both, they're in the winners finals. Prospero's smart enough to avoid such a thing. Although, misplays do happen. Pressure gets to people sometimes, or even just little mistakes like Bug had earlier make a big difference. So if Prospero did mess up, that may be Bug's only hope to win this at this point.
And these guys are both used to it coming down to the wire. Bug's last 2 matches in the tournament ladder both went to the deciding 3rd game. He clinched both wins with Beowulf. Prospero's last 2 matches, even more closely decided. He had 2 health remaining in each of his wins against Jacqueline, and then 1 health remaining in each of his wins against Bryden. So no strangers
Oh my
here
gosh.
to dicey situations at the end game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you just got to be able to close it out, and both of them have been able to do so up until this point, so we'll see what happens.
I think I move. I think I move at least here. And move there further. Yeah, I move there.
Looks like he's really debating on that boost, if he wants to boost in an attack. I mean, at this point, players have so much knowledge on what is left in their and their opponent's decks.
Okay.
It kind of gets to a point where you got to do a bit of math, and you got to kind of math out your situations, your
Alright.
scenarios, and find the
Hold on.
path
I
that's
might-
going to lead to
you might need to
victory.
move.
I might move again.
So it definitely, takes a bit more thought when we get to this stage of the game.
I mean, you're range, so there's no reason to, if I'm in purple, you get me anyway. Okay. Your turn.
Okay, I'm going to start with a shot on red.
Oh, there it is. There's that
Regroup, but
regroup
I'll
bait
make you take
into
the
the
one.
recoil damage.
Okay, that is nice. I like it.
Yep, that's what Prospero wanted to see there.
There's that terrible big mouth, and I also draw one.
Yep, another one of those either wars. He has really had good fortune or Call it bluffing skill, call it reading your opponent. It's all
Um,
coming up aces for Prospero, and it really can turn on a dime with just one of those going the other way, but so far so good.
We hear commentary again. Also, I drew and it's not. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Hooray! Okay, and they're muted again. So, got the block. Only 1 damage bounce back. I'm then going to maneuver, draw to hand, and go like. So, your turn.
My turn. Okay. I will maneuver. Okay.
With that regroup gone, now we know Prospero has 0 defense left. And Bug drew his last card. He can go hit Muldoon here for 4 damage with a basket. I believe he does have a basket left. Is that right?
He does have 1 basket, yep.
Okay. What else does
Yeah,
he
5
have? He's got
cards.
4 cards left. He has a basket, the scheme. What are the last 2?
Never leave the path with the wolf symbol.
Uh-huh.
Long have I sought you,
Ooh, Huntsman.
the huntsman attack. And should be another wolf skin.
The blue defense. Well, he can hit for 4 with the basket right here. Oh, unless did Bug end his turn, or is it Bug's turn? Bug drew. It looks like Bug drew his last card, I believe, with a maneuver, putting him at 0 cards in deck. Prospero still has 2. He still has a call for backup. So I'm thinking if Bug can move up, pop that trap, hit Muldoon for 4, but then Prospero knows that he only has 1 defense and it's a blank 2. That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty much sealed. I don't know if there's a way Bug can get out of this.
So I maneuvered, right? But I haven't moved.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to.
He could double maneuver and pop 2 traps, though, putting himself down to 2, but then he's still open to double attack from workers. Although Prospero might have Muldoon-only cards in hand, like Shoot Her or They Should All Be Destroyed, in which case Bug won't have to worry about getting double attacked, and then Muldoon would have to maneuver to attack with himself, and that would give him 2 damage, bring him down to 3.
Right.
I think that's the only way.
The only 2 cards the workers could conceivably attack with, by my count, is a tactical advance or a second shot.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly a chance he doesn't have those.
Yep. Not a good chance, as we've...
But a chance.
Yeah, I think that's the only chance. I think that's the line Bug needs to take here to have a chance.
Yep, agreed.
Pop that blue trap, pop the one to the left of him, and
Take a damage.
Mm-hmm.
go from there.
Draw a card.
Actually,
You will. You will, in fact.
yeah, he can't
do that.
afford to boost. He's going to need that boost to set up the dagger in basket for his scheme. Although Prospero
He's
has
out
what?
of cards, right?
Yeah, he's out of cards.
Yeah.
So you're right.
any
He
maneuver
can't
into
maneuver
trap will
again.
be.
Yep. I didn't think about that. You're right. So he has to make the attack here. And
No
I guess
Okay.
the hope.
4.
Oh my gosh, down to 1. Classic Prospero, huh?
He's the master.
Yeah.
He pulls it out,
But
but
this is it.
it's always close.
Yeah.
And you've
Woof.
got
Man.
He's got 6
Basket.
cards in hand. It's impossible for him to not have 2 attacks, right? And Bug only has 1 defense. Because Prospero could have
Okay.
Call for Backup, 2 remote
attacks red.
detations, and I believe the rest are attacks.
Muldoon attacks red. I convince you not to.
The draw is gonna kill him.
Oh, true, because it's the wild in the basket. Yeah, I mean, that was game no matter what.
Okay, that's 3.
So that's going to be 2 damage.
I figured.
And then he
getting
draws
into
with
a
the
0-1
effect.
game would just make me feel better. That's
And,
that's all I was debating. there
Yep,
at the
that'll
end.
kill him from fatigue.
Was how would it look on the score?
Very close game. Very well played by both players.
You gotta pat the
Yeah,
stats.
if he just had
I just
that
ran out of attacks.
once upon a
If I
time.
just kept my huntsman in
Mhm.
for one more round, I think would have been a little different. But just I ran out of attack cards.
Yep, Bug is right. What he just said. If he would have kept Huntsman alive, maybe
Didn't
one
have
more
enough,
turn to get a
enough
big
to do
attack
it, but
in,
If I
Or-
had gotten the
or if he kept the Once Upon a
little
Time.
higher value on the
Or yeah,
whatever
if
the
he
one
did
is,
more
the,
than one recoil
terrible big mouth
with
you
the big
have,
mouth, but
Yeah.
Prospero
I think
baited
that
it with the
would've been it, but I
regroup.
was like, he's got the one regroup. He can
That's
get
the
rid
play
his
of the
last
game for
defense
me. I
card,
mean, in the
and
end, that won it.
You know, figured
I
it
think the
was
play of the game for me was the
50-50.
his signature move.
Yeah, it's
Huntsman
hard
down.
to overlook that too.
I
Yeah,
didn't get any of my like special.
I mean both of
schemes and
them
stuff
really
until
made a
much
huge
later
impact in the game.
Like I was sitting on
I was wondering where those were.
2 of my feints and like a couple of regroups in my starting hand, and I'm like,
Yeah, I was very
So
annoyed
it sounds
right
like he
there at the end.
fainted
If I got
early
here,
game
he
Prospero
would've
did
been in my
because he
zone
didn't have other
to use
options.
This guy to do the
I-
2 damage. I was like,
I was
"Ah,
specifically
man."
like
I was
positioning
I'm
myself.
right there. It should also count if it's adjacent.
That's a good point.
Cool. Good game. I mean,
Yeah.
0-1 on the first game is about as close as you can get.
What we like to see, and my Muldoon is now can't use it again. So
What's really funny is I had my wife play test this exact game. It was Little Red versus Muldoon on this map, and I won that one. But
Sounds like Bug was ready.
started on the 1 position, so that's what it was.
yeah, Muldoon has a little extra time to set up.
All right, guys. Well, that was a very, very close game 1. I don't think we could have asked for anything closer. So very well played. Joshua, good to see you on screen here. Nice
Yeah.
attire there. You got the suit jacket brought out. Looking good. So, yeah, so we got Prospero got that win with the InGen yet again versus Little Red for, what is that, the 3rd time in his tournament run? So,
Yep, exactly. Perfect record against him.
So that leaves him with Buffy. Now, Buffy, as we talked about earlier, has a lot of flexibility with her sidekick choice in different matchups. So it's either going to be Buffy into Little Red or Buffy into Alice, and that is up to Bug Hunter. Since he lost game 1, he's going to get to choose which fighter he wants to play, as well as which map he wants to play on, and starting position. So that's quite an advantage there for Bug Hunter. So if I'm him, I'm thinking I would probably want to go Alice, just so you kind of throw Prospero off a bit, because Prospero is fresh out of a Little Red game. So, you know, his gameplay might be a little bit more fresh in Prospero's mind and then more predictable if he goes with Little Red again in a row.
Yep,
but
I agree.
yeah,
I totally agree. He's never played an Alice fighter in the tournament so far. So I think mix it up for one thing, and then for the second thing, I think it's worth noting that Bug may actually be unfamiliar with Buffy as a set. He's never picked Buffy fighters or maps during the tournament. I think he's only played one game against a Buffy fighter. He did beat a Buffy with Xander, playing as Beowulf. And he's also banned Angel on one occasion, so it makes you think maybe that's the set he's least familiar with, and again, could be a little edge that Prospero has going into the game too.
Yeah, and I really wonder if Prospero looked at the data and saw that. We have seen him pick Buffy before in the past, so maybe not. But if he did look at the data, he may have seen Bug's unfamiliarity, I should say, with the Buffy set, and Buffy being the best out of that set for sure, and the most flexible, was a good pick for Prospero. So yeah, but again, Bug Hunter going Alice, I think, can throw Prospero off a little bit. Also, Bug wants to get on the board here. You want to push it to a game 3. You don't want to get 2-0'd. So, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. They should be doing their fighter choice and map choice now, and as soon as we get that information in, we'll go ahead and we'll get into the game. We'll talk a little bit more about the matchup as soon as we find out the decks. So he is going Buffy. So Little Red versus Buffy.
Yeah, whoever loses this match will be going to play another match today. So I think between a 2-0 and a 2-1, you want to win one, at least be more confident going into the next one.
That's definitely a good point. You got to keep that morale up. It's a long day, a lot of competitive Unmatched, and that definitely takes a toll on your brain. You can get fried. So, yeah, Bug, just for morale, he really needs to get a win here, so he's not going into the losers finals later today with 0-2 under his belt. That would not feel good.
I like Bug's chances here, though. I mean, when you think about Buffy's strengths and weaknesses, she's really going to excel against the one-hit sidekicks. Those multitudes bouncing around. Bryden referred to it as her area of effect, is very dangerous against those types of situations. You don't have that here with Bug. He's got 2 very, very robust sidekicks, a lot of health to wear down. So 1 damage here and there getting pinged with some of Buffy's effects is not scary in the same way as it might be for a Muldoon or a Robin Hood. So interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Like you said, Buffy does great against those multi-sidekick fighters with that AoE. So it's going to be a lot trickier for Prospero with Buffy here. So it looks like the map, or the next matchup, is going to be Buffy versus Little Red. Looks like on Sarpedon. So let's see, do we have player 1 and player 2? Do we know who's going first or second? Can we get that information maybe from the players? It looks like player 1 is Little Red. Player 2 is Buffy. Okay, so it looks like Bug chose to go first with Little Red yet again here. Well, he didn't go first last game, but he's going to go first this game. And then Prospero is going to be playing Buffy as player 2 in that purple space there. I do like, so you got to think, again, what I mentioned at the start of that last game is that Red does better going first because she gets that wild card in the basket and she can do as she pleases. She doesn't, she's not as restricted if she gets attacked turn 1, like as we saw in the last game. So it makes sense that Red is choosing to go first here and take advantage of that. I'm not real familiar with Red in terms of the map, so I don't know what major role Sarpedon specifically plays here. Do you guys have any thoughts on maybe why Bug would pick Sarpedon over something else?
Yeah, it's an interesting choice because of the 4 maps Bug banned throughout the tournament, 3 of them were Baskerville, 3 of them were Marmorail, which we just played, and the other one was Sarpedon. So he's kind of going against the grain here in terms of what he's historically done. Obviously, he's played Little Red more than just about any fighter. It's probably his favorite pick. I think 4 picks. Beowulf is second with 3, so interesting choice, but maybe he saw that Prospero's also banned Sarpedon once and maybe is a little less comfortable there. So again, who knows how much research these guys are doing on their opposition ahead of the games, but
sure,
something to keep in mind, and certainly being able to reach potentially a sidekick like Giles or Xander, who might be positioned just to the left of that player 2 icon on the first turn with a gain an action and move 3 spaces, is something to consider.
Yep, from Red. Yep, going 3 spaces right up there.
So
also,
I'm not putting a sidekick there if I'm in Prospero's shoes, but I'm not in Prospero's shoes because I'm not as good of a player, so who knows what he'll decide.
Yeah, true. But also the fact that Huntsman can maneuver up and attack turn 1, being ranged with a wild card in the basket would be that's pretty big, because it could be Stones in the Belly, which is going to be, if Prospero chooses to defend, that's 2 cards knocked out of his starting hand of 5. So that's huge, because then it puts Prospero at 3 cards to Bug's 5 cards right off the bat. So it lets Bug push aggression turn 1. And if it's, Once Upon a Time, that's 3 auto damage dealt immediately turn 1. Unless fainted, if Buffy opens with a feint, that's best case scenario. But in that case, if Huntsman's throwing out one of his red attacks, it's going to eat up a feint and deal 2 damage turn 1. So still, beneficial for Bug here. Oh, and I just did get the report, so Prospero is going to be using Giles with Buffy. So I think that's probably the right choice here. Just because you can use the insight scheme to take a look at Red's hand, and then you can pick apart, her basket combos by putting a suboptimal item into the basket. So that's definitely going to help out. Let's take a look, though. We'll pull off the map here, and we'll take a look at the decks so we can talk a little bit about those in the matchup. So looking here at the Little Red deck, again, there's the Stones in the Belly that I just mentioned. If, Red can pull one of those off turn 1 with Huntsman, that would be huge. And then I'm thinking the what large hands you have isn't nearly as good in this matchup, specifically against Buffy, because she has so many big purple 4 defenses that, I guess the large hands would be good at knocking some of those out of Prospero's hand and just keep reusing it, but it's not likely to get too much damage in, and Buffy doesn't have any low health sidekicks to take advantage. So that might not be quite as impactful. We're going to have to see. And as far as, what's in my basket, that's one of Red's key cards, obviously, just to keep the wild card symbol. And then the What Big Eyes, we've seen that already in action. That could be hugely impactful in this matchup, because with all those big red or purple 4 defenses that Buffy has, the Big Eyes being able to cancel the effect as well as ignore the value is going to guarantee 3 damage through if Bug decides to use that offensively. And then, of course, you got the Grim Tail for the Huntsman scheme, going to be healing up. 8 health healing is just huge. And Buffy doesn't have any massive attacks like Muldoon had, like we saw last game, to kill off Huntsman easily. So I think the healing is definitely going to play a big role in this. Let's take a look at Buffy's deck as well. So looking at Buffy's deck, one of the big things I think anytime Buffy is involved in a game is Daring Strike. If she wins, she gets to draw 2. Otherwise, she takes a damage. So that's a huge swing, whether you win or lose the combat with that card. But against Red specifically, she doesn't have any 4 defenses other than the baskets, which granted she has 4 of them, but it's only the basket and then potentially the Big Ears card that can be played as defense if the right symbol is in there. So Daring Strike is probably going to be pretty reliable as far as drawing cards for Prospero, especially if he decides to attack with Daring Strike against Huntsman, because then it's only Stones in the Belly that Huntsman could win the combat with, and only if the dagger is in the basket. So that makes it a little predictable. As far as the cartwheel kick though goes and the Slayer strength, we're not likely to see much AoE impact because of just there being Red and Huntsman, the 2 beefier fighters. So I don't think those will be quite as impactful. And then the rapid recovery, Buffy gets 3 healing, but that only puts her to 17 total in theory, whereas Red is sitting at a healthy 22. So I definitely like Red's chances in this matchup. What do you guys think?
My biggest question is what you do with Giles. He can be such a pain, and it's going to be exacerbating, Buffy's dependency, Red's dependencies on getting those cards in the right order and playing them into the basket. But it's really got to be a crime of opportunity. It's one thing John, when we've played and I've come at you with raptors and just sliced him to pieces, but it's a little harder to pull that off maybe in this matchup with, by and large, Huntsman being a little bit more lumbering and you not having as many chances to kind of slide past an opponent like the raptors do. So I'll be curious to see how aggressive Bug is in trying to eliminate Giles and maybe forestall some of those insight cards from messing up his ordering.
Yeah, the insight really is going to play a major role in this matchup. We're going to see how effectively Prospero will be able to use it. I think that's going to dictate a lot about this game. Like you said, if Bug can kill off Giles fast, I think he's going to have a good time against Buffy. And especially using Huntsman, his big red attacks against Giles, you don't really have to worry too much about Giles' recoil attacks because he only has a couple of things he can use, being like the Daring Strike or the Swift Strike. So not too much to worry about as far as killing off Giles early. But it looks like players are just about set up, so we should be going into the game shortly.
Sweet. Excited for it.
Game 2. Here we go.
Oh yeah, you stream stuff for your band, right? Nice.
Everything is streaming to band these days. Normally I wouldn't say I stream, but we were forced online this year, so.
Yep. What kind of music does your band play?
I call it lyrical indie, if that makes any sense. A lot of words.
Lyrical indie.
Okay, looks like we're good to go.
All right,
Cool.
here we go. You're up first.
Okay.
It's annoying to play Little Red twice in a row because she has such like specific cards that you want to try and play around, and now they're all back. It was so nice.
Good
not
point
having to
from
worry about
Prospero
someone's
there.
cards.
It's a fresh reset for Bug.
Not surprised to see Giles
And
tucked away there in the
excellent
corner,
Such a melee.
out of
matchup.
Red's range.
Yep, especially
We'll see if
like
he
you
gets-
said.
Huntsman, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm not surprised to see Giles off in the corner, especially with that scheme opportunity like you mentioned, Matt.
Got the classic feints, with the regroups.
Yep. She's pretty vanilla. Her main thing is she is really good into enemies with a lot of one health minions. Which is why I was so debating between Alice and Dracula.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes
but
sense.
she's got pretty good numbers just in general
Yeah.
on her cards.
Okay. I will. Two, and I will attack you with Huntsman.
Starting us off spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Huntsman at range.
Hoping you didn't draw any defense cards.
It never hurts to kind of probe that and see if that's the case.
Oh, we are seeing the turn 1
Uh,
attack from Huntsman. I'm not surprised, but we'll see how this turns out. This could have a big impact.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Take 2.
All right, so we have Prospero going with the feint, which is
That's not the one I
smart
wanted to
because that would feint Stones or Once Upon a Time. But Bug probably knowing that, he got the Long Have I Sought You into the feint, which is perfect.
Oh, yeah, I sought you.
So 2 damage
To the
in.
discard. Daggers on top. My turn. Alright, I will start us off with a maneuver.
So one thing to note, though, too, is with Buffy's special ability,
Mhm.
she's able to move through
The other
opposing
thing is that
fighters.
Buffy can move through.
So a lot of
does
times when you have
not
beefy
care,
sidekicks like Huntsman,
about
you
that
know,
kind of stuff.
you want to
Um,
block off your hero using that sidekick and force them
Probably
to get through the sidekick first and eat up
Gotta
damage.
get them cartwheels.
But Buffy
Uh,
is just going to ignore that. If she wants to hit Huntsman or Red,
Ah.
she's going to be able to hit either one as she pleases for the most part throughout the game.
Hold on a second. Hold on, I got spares.
Looks like we got just a slight delay here. Bug's gonna fix his camera.
Not showing my upside of my nose or something. I mean, we don't need the video right now if you just want to go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm going to attack red.
Okay.
Flurp.
All right, there it is.
So you don't get to draw 2 cards.
So
but
the
you
Daring
do,
Strike from Buffy,
block 2. So you
hitting
take
2 damage over the wolf skin, winning the combat, and drawing Prospero 2
and then I
cards.
get to maneuver.
And with wolf skin not matching
Or not
the
maneuver. I get to
the symbol in the
oh, no,
basket,
that was a
Bug
different
does not get to draw.
different card. But yes.
So that is going to give
This was the
Prospero
card I had
big
intended to
time
play.
hand
There
advantage
was
right
another one I
here.
was debating with.
Gotcha.
So 1,
It was almost my mistake.
2.
Sounds like Prospero did kind of give away a little bit of information there, though. It seems like
Dun, dun, dun.
he meant to attack maybe with a swift strike and maneuver away. So I would expect him to have that in his hand currently.
That should be working again.
That was wolf skin. Daggers on top. Your turn.
All right. Let me think. So you just played.
I just played a
strike.
daring strike. Yep.
And I just played. What did I play? I played that one card.
The
Wolf skin.
wolf's skin. So you've got daggers on top.
Daggers on top. And I'm right next to you. Are we just gonna brawl this out? Okay.
We can.
Okay.
It's girl fight.
I will.
Girl fight. It is great to see like the diversity of the fighters in this game as well. And I know, Restoration has commented on increasing that diversity among, different cultures and whatnot as they move forward with releasing new fighters. So that is really great to see.
I will attack Puffy Boy.
I will block.
All right.
Alright.
Oh,
So you don't get your after combat, but you don't take any.
unfortunately, Bug didn't have. I thought he had the symbol lined up at first, and he was going to cancel the
Okay
skirmish,
with
like I
that.
had talked about earlier. But unfortunately, he didn't have the symbol matched up, so he does cancel the skirmish
so
effect.
you maneuvered, but,
but
didn't
he's
move,
not
and then
getting
you
the damage
attacked, so it's
in.
my turn.
I wonder if that was done on purpose, or if he maybe
I'm gonna start
had
with,
another little
skin.
mistake there.
Insight. I get to look at your hand and choose a card to
Oh,
discard.
this is
Here we see the
a very
insight.
bad time to have an insight.
Yeah, because this
Mhm.
is Prospero's first action, so he gets to look at the hand, and then discard one, and then he can choose to attack. And he has full knowledge of what is in Bug's hand right now. His hand is not looking very good, though. He's only got 2 baskets, a Grimtail Scheme, and then the Into the Woods. I would definitely expect Prospero to probably hit out maybe a basket here and then attack and knock out the other
You
basket,
haven't actually played a what's in my basket yet, have you?
leaving Bug with no combat cards in hand and pretty much forcing a double maneuver turn from Bug for him to
it's
run
gonna be a
away.
Grimtail.
Yeah, it has to be.
Oh, it looks like he is
Can't
going
let
with
you
the
get that
Grim Tail.
healing, particularly with the what's in
Yeah,
your
it tells you a
baskets, you're
lot
able to set
about
that up
how
very nicely.
Prospero is probably going to play this game, though.
and then-
He's playing for the
I think
long
he's
game.
probably pretty worried that this is going to drag out and
Hmm
be another close one, as they
Yep.
all are with him. So That card does make sense, I think, if your longer term goal is just to minimize healing back from red, and that card is
Next game
obviously
again.
one of 2 that can get her 4 back
And
at most.
use
True.
Training to draw 3 cards.
Oh wow, he didn't attack though. All right, so
He must not have
Cards like Buffy, they have the
great
ability
attack
to
cards.
true.
Xander, yeah.
Or maybe he wants a regroup to attack with, knowing that they're only 4s.
So I didn't really get to see what he did.
Yeah, that's true too. Maybe he doesn't
Yeah,
want to waste an
Xander
attack into a
is-
4 that he
only
knows
has,
is going to be
he
coming
has,
out
like,
from
3 hybrid
defense.
cards and 2 attack cards. So he essentially just adds a little more firepower to the deck.
Although with that training, drawing 3 cards, it essentially negated all 3 passes that Prospero potentially has in deck from the insights. So now, you know, any cards drawn by Prospero, and he's already won a Daring Strike and drawn 2, so if I'm Bug, I'm thinking right now about the potential of a fatigue matchup, you know, playing a lot of defense this game, dragging the game out really long, and taking advantage of his deck size advantage, I would call it.
I agree, because I don't think you're getting much damage straight on with attacks, and versatile strengths work just as well as defense.
Where was I? Here?
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good point. Looks like he's debating where to put Huntsman.
I'll stay
He could put him back
here. So I
to
can
the left too. Yeah, he could put him back there out of range.
Okey-doke.
Okay.
Your turn.
I was going to say, if you put him within range of Buffy, he's trying to bait Prospero into attacking Huntsman. But yeah, it looks like he's just going to
Alright,
play
I'm
safe
going
and back
to
off.
maneuver.
Because insights aside, Buffy's forced into the rhythm of maneuver attack.
Yep.
And discard
Every
a...
turn. I mean, you know, unless it's a double maneuver turn, but Prospero's only going to have to do that if his hand gets low. I imagine we're likely to see a lot of boosted maneuvers this game from
Start a
Buffy.
regroup to boost 1.
Yeah, I agree, John. At first glance, I thought this map really played into Buffy and Giles' strengths. Giles can just sit back pretty, you know, well defended, or at least
Buffy
away from the
attacks
action,
Alice.
and discard cards at will. But the more I think about it now, the way you and Joshua have kind of laid it out, I like this map for Little Red in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
At
Very,
least with the strategy you're describing.
yeah, it's looking, you know, I could be wrong. It's still really early in the game. Things could change, but if I was Bug in this situation, I'd be thinking towards Fatigue after seeing that training card played. Because, again, also with Red specifically, she does better when she has more cards in hand. So playing defensively and maneuvering a lot is good to get your hand count up. And then you have a lot of auto damage you can deal on defense.
1 damage.
That was a good defense from Bug there. Mr. Pointy, you know, 1 of 2 of the 5s in
I
Buffy's
consider
deck,
this an absolute...
only dealing 1 damage. So that was really good. And now Bug has the wild card
That
for
is
his turn
correct.
if he wants to go
I
turn
was
around
like,
and attack
I
Buffy
used 2
for the
cards, I
retaliation
used to
attack.
Well, but you didn't have Wolf's Help.
But yeah, as I was saying, you know, with Red
that-
maneuvering a lot, gaining cards in hand, putting a lot of distance between her
So that
and
was
Buffy.
maneuver and attack. Your turn.
And she has so much recoil and auto damage she can do on defense with her blue, the Big Mouth cards, and the Once Upon a Times, and then her schemes. So she doesn't really need to do too much attacking into Buffy. Of course, if there's a good opportunity like this with the wild card where maybe you can get a big attack in, it could be worth it.
Block.
Prospero gets another win, fainting the hands yet again. He's 3 for 3 on those.
I think I'm partially good at it and partially lucky. So
It is really uncanny how many well-played feints and regroups he's had in the last several matches.
Yeah, I mean, luck is on his side.
So in this case, against Little Red, you almost... A feint is never really bad. The worst you can have is a basket, which is 2 damage.
That's true. He does know that Bug has a basket, but it's unlikely that Bug would want to use his other basket as attack right here, potentially leaving him with no good defenses. So yeah, I think it was smart from Prospero to feint there, regardless of what it was. The only real punish would have been the big ears red card, because then Prospero would have taken 2 damage, and Bug would be happy with that because the big ears has no effect, during combat anyways.
Could be manufacturing situation where if Buffy goes for Little Red, the Huntsman gets an adjacent attack in.
So yeah, that's what he's doing right here, it looks like, because we know Buffy can move through Huntsman and still get to Red, but then Huntsman is adjacent.
Or just around.
Yep, or around, either one. But she'd have to boost in order to get next to Red without being next to Huntsman. So I would not be surprised if we see Long Have I Sought You come out. After this first interaction, of course.
If there's one thing I've learned from going through this tournament, it's that elite positioning is what separates the good from the great players in Unmatched. I have just seen some fabulous positioning from the players that have made it this far in the tournament, and it really does make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree with that.
What are your guys' opinions on the most important trait, I guess, of a high quality Unmatched player? Is it knowledge of all the different appropriate counters in a tournament setting, the importance of pick ban strategy? What's made a difference for these guys getting this far?
Nice.
So it all plays a big role, obviously. To be a great player, you kind of got to be good at all of the above. But to me, I think knowledge of all the decks and the interactions between specific cards in those decks is one of the biggest things that stands out, a great player from just a good player. Like you can be able to play your deck well if you've played it a lot, but to be able to understand the opponent's deck as well and the interactions that your cards specifically have with theirs and what kind of combat card interactions you're looking to see throughout the game to go in your favor, I think that's what separates, a great player from a good player.
So we saw a regroup attack there from Prospero against Bug. Bug countering with, I believe that was Wolfskin.
Yep, and he did get the draw off of it, so that was perfect for Bug to regain some cards and now get in that retaliation attack. But yeah, circling back to your question, Matt, I mean, Joshua, what would you say is the most important, aspect that makes a great player?
Yep, that's what I thought.
I think flexibility with the fighters, because we're in a format where you don't have a guaranteed
Cool. So I got you for 2.
You do have me for
set
2.
of fighters you
That
play
is
with,
true.
and you need to
And
be
then
willing
I
to
will
face
move
any
both
fighter and play as any fighter.
Red
Yep.
and
So that
Huntsman,
does
and
play
they both take
into
damage.
your comment about understanding all the decks, because that's how you actually play
Actually, I'm gonna
well.
keep the Huntsman back here.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree, but your point is a little stronger on like the pick ban focus of things, because definitely if you aren't good at the pick ban phase and you just go, kind of pick your favorite fighters just because they're your favorite, but they have hard counters and your opponent recognizes that and picks the hard counters, you're just going to be fighting an uphill battle the whole match, and that really puts you at a disadvantage. So I do agree with you there that that's very important.
Yeah, a good player with a bad matchup, not just one, but maybe 2.
Yeah.
It's really hard to win a whole match.
Yep, definitely. Because if you're also against another good player,
And I'm going
the stats aren't in your favor.
Yeah, good points all around.
maneuver.
So we saw Bug lead there with a Huntsman attack on Buffy. She countered with
Boink.
The Slayer
her
Strength.
Versatile 4, the Slayer's Strength. That's
Yep.
the first one out from her.
That's that
And
guy.
she did get to move both of
Yep.
Bug's fighters and deal 1 damage to each of them because of that positioning. So that was ideal for Prospero.
Into the woods.
I think this positioning is telling. The fact that he's putting Giles in front of Buffy means that he doesn't want anyone to get at Buffy, and it might well be that he doesn't have good defense at the moment.
Yep. I agree with that. I'm really surprised to see a defensive into the
A
woods.
heal.
It's got to be the heal.
It's
Yep.
a heal, yes.
Yep, you're right.
Yep. So
Steal this one from me.
nope.
And now's a good time because
Overhead.
Buffy has to boost to reach either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a part of the map.
Yeah.
Yes, but also
You
because
still have one
he
more
maxed out the 4 health,
action.
and it prevents an insight from getting to it.
Yeah, good point. Because Prospero
It's true.
did discard the other Grim Tail already earlier in the game, so that is the last Grim Tail that Bug will be using this game, unless he somehow gets an attack with the hands and picks it back up without playing any other cards first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to.
And that could be an option here if, you know, Bug wants to take an undefended attack, and then attack with the retaliation attack on his turn with the hands. But I think that's too risky because I think taking an undefended attack is more harmful than just sacrificing that 4 heal, because you may very well take 4 damage in the process. And the hands is probably better saved to be a reusable attack than it is to try and recoup that health.
Yeah, if Giles has another insight,
yeah,
he can
I
put
will
the matter to
discard
bed entirely here.
Swift
Just
Strike
get another
to
card on
boost
top
you.
of that discard pile for Bug.
And go
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have any more healing.
Giles attacking Little Red.
Um,
Do you think it's going to be a Daring Strike?
With 6 cards in hand, I
For
wouldn't
now.
expect it to be, because you wouldn't want to draw 2 and overdraw. Although
Well,
sometimes
but you're
that is...
spending one.
Oh, right. That's true.
We will
And
go ahead
given that Buffy's staying back, I really think it's
swing with
indicative that
Giles.
he doesn't have defense.
True. Yeah, I would expect another
An
Swift
old-
Strike, though. I know he said he discarded a Swift Strike to
history
boost,
teacher.
but I'm kind of expecting a Swift Strike
What
as
does
an
he
attack
do?
as
He
well.
goes and attacks a
Because then he
little
can
girl.
put Giles right back in front of Buffy where he started.
So that blank
sure
card
there's
on
a
top
convoluted
of
plot
Buffy's
here for
discard
what
is
they've set
a
up,
A
but
Swift
Swift Strike.
Yep.
Got it.
Prospero stated it out loud.
It's gonna get looked at.
Mhm.
Right.
Aha! It is a Daring Strike.
So Giles actually takes one.
Yep, you were right with the Daring Strike there.
Daring Strike.
And
Mhm.
defending with the basket means Giles takes a damage and Prospero doesn't get to draw.
My turn.
It
Although him not drawing, I think at this point is beneficial for Prospero, actually. Because he's only sitting at 13 cards in deck, while Bug has 15 after this maneuver. And knocking out one of Red's baskets, you know, she only has 4 of them total, so I'd be pretty happy with that exchange from Prospero's end.
Okay.
It is too bad that Bug is so far away from Buffy, because Joshua, like you said, you know, it would have been nice
like
to
that.
maybe try to capitalize on Prospero's lack of defense, if that is the
I
case.
am going to maneuver. And then I'm going to go ahead and maneuver one more time. Your turn.
Ooh, so now looks like his hand situation may be a little different. Ending right next to Red is just asking for attacks, but maybe that's what Prospero wants at this point.
Okay.
Although, even if Bug wants to back off and run and maybe double maneuver, he doesn't really have a great place to go. You know, with Giles sitting back where he's at, Bug is so far from getting to that other red end of the map that he, you know, Prospero's going to get an attack in next turn,
I'm gonna take the
guaranteed, I would say, if he wants it.
Buffy with Little Red.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. So I'll get a random card.
So
Okay.
attacking with the stones
Actually,
does
playing
get a
with the
card.
So you got what, 6? So
If I'm
roll
Bug,
the
I'm really
d6.
hoping to hit a Daring
Buffy
Strike or a
has
Slayer
real
Strength.
big boost values.
You know, because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw
like
that.
Prospero just mentioned,
Okay,
she's got a
number
lot of big
1.
boost values.
Mr. Pointy, come on.
Yeah, Mr. Pointy.
Get a 3.
Ah, he did get a 3,
Yeah.
though.
That's not
So 1
bad.
damage.
And takes away a heal from Prospero. And deals 1
And that
damage.
does deal
Yes,
1
you do.
damage each.
Yep.
Um,
So that was a difference
that's
of
a
2
Stones
health
in the
overall,
Valley
because took away 1
done.
healing and dealt 1.
Um,
So I wouldn't be upset
and
about that
then
with as
You get
Bug.
to do your thing.
yeah, I get to move you to a different space in the zone, like so, and you'll take 1.
And then my second turn, I'm
Mhm.
going to maneuver.
I was just scanning the results tracker for all-time logged plays of this matchup, and it has happened exactly 2 times. 1 win for each. So we are in uncharted waters, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, your turn.
Okay.
You said 1 win for each of these fighters in the matchup, Matt?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, it could go either way.
2 plays total, so I mean, make of that what you will. I make of it absolutely nothing. So hard to know what to expect, but it is telling that of the 6 plays Red had against Buffy with Xander, they were all wins for Red. So presumably Prospero is aware of that to some degree and has thought it through.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's put a lot of thought into his lineup. Like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the players, he just has a really,
I'm going to
diverse
maneuver and
roster of fighters that he's had success
Your
with.
turn.
So that
Mhm.
really helps out as we were talking about what makes a great player. Being able to play all the different decks. It really helps out a lot.
Maneuver?
Okay.
Whereas, like you said, Bug, though, more so is like, I would say a master of his characters, being Red and Beowulf. I'm surprised, like you said, we didn't see Beowulf picked, but maybe he just thought Beowulf wasn't great into the fighters that Prospero was picking at the time.
So, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I will go this 2.
Okay. Into the woods.
1, 2, 3. And I will attack Buffy with Little Red.
What do you think this attack is? Is it die?
I'm thinking it's the hands, because he has a flower or wolfsbane in the basket. That doesn't really do anything except for the eyes, and there's only 1 eyes left. So I'm kind of expecting the hands here, just to try to knock out some of
Yeah,
Prospero's
because
defense.
true. If you take the hands back, you could defend, say, a Mr. Pointy with the eyes.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, because then you have the wolfsbane in the basket. Oh, but it was the eyes.
It is
Alright.
3 damage.
Nothing happened.
3 damage, yeah, although
1 damage.
I don't think the
Oh, no, you
cartwheel
also ignore
kick
the value
is
of
what
3
he
damage.
was trying
Yeah.
to hit. I think he would be much happier with a Slayer Strength or a Skirmish. So I'd call that a win for Prospero.
Lucky.
But now we're looking at a condition where you could beat her on recoil
Got you to
alone.
do the thing. That
Yeah,
was
or
good.
he has both
And
once upon
or
a times,
schemes.
right?
Alright, that's your turn.
It is my turn.
I think he has both.
Not a safe
Swing at
place to be.
Little Red.
I think he has both once upon a time left in deck. Bug does, which would be 6 damage.
Plus,
Plus the
Terrible
big
Big
mouth.
Mouth?
Yep, and plus the never leave the path. And he did knock out one of Prospero's healing, so Prospero would only have a max of 2 heal, bringing him up to 8. And Bug has more than enough auto damage to close out the game at this point. So as long as he plays smart, you know, keeps his hand size up and has enough defenses. So there it is again.
So I take one.
We got Prospero hitting with the regroup into the terrible big mouth, only taking 1 recoil. Although it did draw him a card, which is pushing his fatigue clock, and you know, Bug can't be upset about not taking damage there, because now he's in a single Never Leave the Path and a single Once Upon a Time win condition.
And I'm gonna scheme and use insight.
Ooh, this could be a huge insight though. Could knock out his last defense and then get an undefended attack in. Oh no. Bug has a fantastic set of defenses here. Because if Prospero wants to get the basket, it triggers stones on defense. And if he wants to get the stones, he still has the basket. So
Yeah, stones in the belly can just go away.
not
And
surprised.
he's in a case
Surprising
where
no one.
He can maneuver and attack for 2 more damage.
Who can?
I mean, that was the second.
That was his first
Action.
action.
No, he attacked with.
Uh,
He attacked with a regroup.
oh, no, you're right. You're right.
So the huntsman can go in, deal 2. Little Red can pull away,
Yeah, good
and
point.
that's confirmed too over
Yeah.
a feint or a
Or,
4.
exactly. I would take that right now if I am Bug. Because you still have that basket to defend if Buffy chooses to maneuver up and attack. And then you can do a
Yeah.
double maneuver turn afterwards. Yep, that looks like that's exactly what he's doing.
I will block.
Could be game.
2 damage.
Could be game if he defended with a regroup. No, I really like that play by Bug. I think that kind of just sealed the deal.
For the home
He
team.
literally just has to play some solid defense the rest of the game, and he doesn't have to worry about anything
Yeah, once
else.
upon a time.
It was
Yep.
a skirmish, yeah.
Yep, no more worries from Bug, I'd say. Just play it safe, and I think there's no way he loses as long as he plays it safe. Buffy's too
And that's
straightforward.
already 2 insight.
Yeah, there's only one more insight, so she can't get rid of both of the Once Upon a Times. Yeah, great position for Bug.
Okay, I'm going
It's
to
a bit
maneuver.
early to talk about the rubber set, but what do you think about Alice versus Buffy?
I think we're gonna see the game, and so I think it's worth talking about. I would expect. It's hard to say if Giles or Xander would be better. I'm not a Buffy player myself, so I really don't know. My thought would be that if you go Giles, you could hit really big cards
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna
Looking
do it again.
Glass. But as Xander, you can keep pressure on Alice and force some suboptimal size changes. So I really don't know which would be better.
Yeah, not a whole lot of data on the matchup. 7 total games. Alice has played Giles 3, Xander 4. Winning
pretty
2 out
even.
of 3 against Giles and just 1 out of 4 against Xander. So,
So the data says Xander is better, but yeah, we'll see.
Boosting with
I think-
training.
yeah, I think that would be my intuition, but
Training.
hard to read
Boosting
into
with training.
sample sizes that small.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah, Matt, I
That
agree.
makes more sense.
We'll talk a little bit more about that matchup if we see it. This game's not over yet, but
Yep, sounds good.
yeah, I really like Bug's chances here, so
Your turn.
let's just see if he can close it out.
Mm-hmm.
You could even just pull back at this point,
Yeah.
given the cards.
That's what I would do as Bug. You know, just play it safe. You'll win in time. He's up in health. He's up in, you know, potential auto damage or, you know, game closeout cards. He's up in deck count. He's up in every aspect, so.
So let's think about this from Prospero's perspective. How does he shoot the moon, as it were? I mean, you're probably giving him less than 1 in 10 chance of somehow pulling this out, if that.
But what is
What
that
needs to
chance?
happen?
Yeah.
You got to get both your heels in.
Yep, you have to get above that threshold for sure.
You have to use your last insight on what? Let's say he's got an insight he can pull out here.
So the
What is the
problem.
card you're discarding?
Okay, so this is good. Attacking with Giles, I think, is a good start. But what you have to do, you cannot
I
attack
see.
with Buffy
Uh-huh.
while there is a dagger in the basket. Or else, if it is the Once Upon a Time, you lost yourself the game. And if there's a wolf skin in the basket, you cannot attack as Buffy unless you're using something weaker than a 3. Which the heal is a 3. So really, Prospero needs to find a time where he can attack with the rapid recovery into a wolfsbane in the basket, which is going to be very difficult, but he's going to have to find that chance at some point to have any hope of winning this. Or if, he can get a good insight into Bug's hand and knock out maybe like a Once Upon a Time, and then attack with the rapid recovery when he knows that he's safe to do so.
I'm gonna take it.
Okay. 4.
Taking a direct 4, that
Okay, that is
hurt. That's a good start for Prospero, although he is down to 3 cards in deck to Bug's 9. So he's really, really on a clock here.
Okay.
Who says Giles can't do damage?
Yeah, good, good job, history teacher guy.
Managed to stab a girl.
I'm gonna scheme.
Okay. Into the woods.
ah.
1, 2, 3.
I think we're going to see an offensive Once Upon a Time here.
And
But if Prospero has a feint, that could mean big trouble for Bug.
I'm going
Does he have any more stones left?
He does have 1.
Okay, could be stones. I don't know. I'm feeling like this is risky from Bug. I would just back off and play it safe. You got no reason to rush in.
Yeah, so many cards for Prospero. You got to think he's got something
Yep. Mm-hmm.
he can do to counter this.
Although this is essentially Bug's first action.
I knew it.
Okay, that was good.
Oh, nice. That is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like that was an unnecessary risk, but it worked out. So Bug's free to maneuver away, and he has a wild card in the basket. So, yeah, can't be upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to think, like, these...
Buffy have left?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's one more.
Yep.
Oh, okay, this is risky.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. you
that
were
is
the first
game.
time.
Yeah, impressive by Bug to
should've
be
played
so
down.
aggressive.
If I miss, it's still
I
2,
think he had the win no matter what if he played defensively, but he still got it being aggressive. So, congrats to him. Another thing I was just going to mention is, like, we got to keep in mind that the players are tracking, their own decks and opponents likely off to the side. So if there was any kind of miscalculations, that could be impacting their
You
play.
can't kill me. I looked at all your guys like, you can't kill me with this. I'm at 13, so I'll just take the damage. And
All right, we're going to get a rubber
all
game.
right, my little red is
As
clean.
expected, I think.
You gave it the first loss that I've had for little red. In the
Oh.
tournament, so.
Bug just stated that Prospero gave him his first loss with red in the whole tournament.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little
Wow.
annoyed
Impressive.
that I picked Buffy into Dracula and then banned Dracula, and I should have gone with Beowulf.
Prospero
I did not.
giving away his
So now we
his
get
thoughts on the
a
pick
matchup
ban.
I don't think the tournament's seen yet, which is Alice versus Buffy.
Yeah, it might be a first. Cool. Yeah. Who gets you get to pick the map? Yeah.
I do. That is the advantages that I'm bringing.
All right, guys. So we're gonna see a game 3. I'm sure that's what everybody here wants to see. That was a very decisive win by Bug Hunter with red. So I'm interested to see, how this Buffy Alice game is gonna go. But you guys called it. We are gonna see it. But with that last game, I mean, do you think there's anything that maybe Prospero could have done a little differently, to give him a better shot? Or is it just an uphill battle for Buffy all the way?
The lack of offensive firepower, I think, was a challenge. You got to wonder if maybe Xander, in hindsight, might have been a little bit more helpful at times, especially against a really aggressive red like Bug played. But it's hard to know. I do think that's a matchup, watching it play out, that's especially on that map and the way that Bug played it, going to be in Little Red's favor more often than not. So makes a lot of sense that it was a pretty dominating performance when, even though Prospero got a couple of cards to go his way, by and large, Bug felt in command for the majority of the game.
I would agree. So, yeah, players should be getting set up, hopefully, for Game 3. We're going to see Buffy versus Alice. I guess we just need to wait and see what map they want to go with, as well as the starting position, because Prospero is going to get to choose both of those. So, from Buffy's perspective, going up against Alice, I don't know that there's a map that I feel particularly good about, but also not one that I feel particularly bad about. I think they're both characters are pretty neutral and can pretty much play, their game on any map. There's no ranged fighters, so that's not a consideration. I guess the real thing just to think about is like how tight you want the map to be. You probably wanted, if you want to be aggressive as Buffy, you want a tighter map so that you can get in there and attack more often, more easily without boosting. And if you want to play more of a defensive game, maybe with Giles, and play the long game and towards fatigue, then you probably want another big open map like we just saw on Sarpedon, so Buffy can put more distance between her and Alice, more easily.
If I'm Prospero, I'm considering one of the Buffy maps. I really do think that even though Bug handled Buffy, I'm not sure that he is as familiar with those. So I'd be curious to see if maybe the Bronze gets picked. That's one of the lowest played maps in the entire tournament. Sunnydale High, not much higher on that list. So curious to see if one of those gets pulled out. It is obviously Prospero's choice here.
Yep. That's a good point. Just the unfamiliarity advantage you could potentially get over your opponent might be worth something, especially in such an
just
even...
coming in, but they picked the Raptor Paddock. Well, Prospero did.
Okay, Raptor Paddock. Okay, so that's interesting. I think that's a really smart choice. We can get Raptor Paddock pulled up on screen in just a second. Here we go. So looking at Raptor Paddock, I have to imagine that Prospero wants to go first. And if he can pull off an offensive Slayer's Strength, or even a skirmish that he wins, turn one, he can push Alice into the corner of the pit there, and then pin Alice. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a smart thing to do, because Alice can hit really, really hard. But if you catch her on the wrong sizes, you're not going to get hit too hard, and you'll be able to hit her pretty hard back. So maybe that's what Prospero's thinking, is he wants to trap Alice in the pit. That's my thoughts on this map choice.
If you're Alice, you're starting small in that situation, right? Just to head off the possibility of an offensive skirmish, like you said. It's almost like the Muldoon Sherlock matchup all over again, rending shot into the pit.
Yep.
With mixed results, to be sure.
Exactly. Like I tried against Bryden, but Bryden knew the strategy, so he placed Watson at the front of the pit in that brown space, just to be safe, which was smart. So like you said, Matt, I would agree with that. I think it obviously depends on your hand. Like, if your hand doesn't have anything you can defend with, even as small, to protect against a skirmish, maybe you just start big anyways, because that's generally better, I would say, as Alice. But yeah, if you have any cards that are a 3 or more that you can defend with, you probably want to start small, just to protect against that. I would agree.
Yeah, makes sense. And we should say, for folks that may not be familiar with this set or this map, a very cool special feature. Those arrows indicate a one-way movement path. So if you're up on the top of the Raptor Paddock and you want to enter into that jungle area in the center, you cannot move against the flow of the arrows, so to speak. Those spaces are still adjacent, but for the purposes of movement, you cannot move out of the jungly area in the center where the raptors are fed up onto the ramparts there. If you wanted to move that way, you have to go out through that part in the southeast.
That is a great point, Matt. Yeah, just great to point out, for anybody viewing who is not as familiar with, how this map works. Those arrows are going to play a big role, I think, in the matchup. Again, with Buffy's mobility being 3 and Alice only 2, Buffy can, for one thing, she cannot get trapped in the pit because she can move through people, so that's not a worry. And she'll be able to get out of the pit or even jump into the pit if she wants to more easily and more quickly, forcing Alice and or Jabberwock into the pit to come attack Buffy, which is, I think that honestly might be what he's going for as well. Not even just pushing Alice or Jabberwock into the pit, but baiting them in to attack her and then running out towards that blue space at the entrance of the pit, and now he's got the opponent cornered. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the decks then real quick. So from Prospero, we got, again, we're going to see Buffy for a second time, except this time it looks like he is going Xander. So taking a look at Xander's key card there, that right-hand man, it's just a purple 2, but it becomes a 6 if Buffy and Xander are adjacent. So a 6 is huge. Alice can hit really hard when she's big, so if Xander needs a big defense, that can be it. Or if Prospero just wants to use Xander as much as he can for offense until he gets killed, that right hand man's going to be a 6 offensive attack. And I think the mind games that you can play are significant, because if you always keep Xander and Buffy adjacent, you never know as Bug, if you want to feint to try to hit the right hand man, or if Prospero's faking you out and he's hitting with like a daring strike or something else that's going to be 2 damage over the feint. So the mind games could help out there for sure, and just that aggression from Xander.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, if you're forced to protect Buffy, right hand man is decent in keeping Xander alive for that positioning.
Yep.
It's gonna take almost anything from Big Alice.
And then let's go ahead and take a look at Alice real quick. We haven't seen her in the tournament yet. Well, at least in the finals. So looking at Alice, some of her key cards, we got, of course, Looking Glass. That's her signature card. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best defenses in the game, if not the best. You get to choose to either draw 2 cards, recover 3 health, or warp to any space. So in the case that Alice does get pinned in the Raptor pit, she can use Looking Glass to warp out if she really needs to, and either recover health or draw cards. Momentous Shift is especially good in Alice's deck when she's big. The shift is becomes a 5 from its effect, and then becomes a 7 on top of that from Alice's buff. So that's just huge. One of the biggest, scariest attacks Alice can give out. Mangsum Foe, same thing, similar at least to Momentous Shift. You blind boost, essentially. You discard the top card of your deck, and you add its boost value to it. And Alice has a lot of high 4 boost values. If you look at Snicker Snack there, that's all of Alice's red attacks have the 4 boost value. Same with the Looking Glass. So, and there's a couple of other 3s as well. So you can deal huge, massive damage with Mangsum Foe, if not fainted. Jaws that Bite, deal 2 damage to one adjacent fighter. I don't think that's going to be very impactful in the matchup, because Buffy has so many purple 4s to defend with that also move, like Skirmish or Slayer's Strength.
You might want to make sure it doesn't come back to bite you, in fact.
Yeah, true, because if you have Jabberwock adjacent to Alice, and then Buffy defends with one of those purple 4s and moves away, you're forced to deal that 2 auto damage to Alice, because that's the only fighter adjacent, and that's just brutal. So definitely, I would think Bug has some experience with Alice and won't let that happen, but you definitely got to keep that in mind. As far as Snicker Snack, that lets you look at your opponent's hand if you won the combat. If you're big, you're almost guaranteed to win the combat, being a 5. and you get to look at their hand and choose a card to discard. So that's one of the best
Oh.
discards you can get in this game.
In this
So,
matchup, you're guaranteed to win it unless you're going against Xander's right-hand man.
yep, or against a feint, of course, but then you're dealing 3 damage, and you can't be too upset about that. So, I mean, what key cards do you think Alice is looking to hit with the Snicker Snack?
Probably a Mr. Pony.
Mr.
Yeah, I was
Pointy?
going to say, I think it'll depend on the situation, but probably, there's a situation with health recovery that could be impactful. But yeah, I would probably take out the biggest hitters with Mr. Pointy chief among them.
Mm-hmm. I think I would agree. With Xander, it's very one-dimensional. It's about pushing aggression and card advantage and just keep hitting them. With Giles, it's a little more nuanced with the insight schemes and whatnot. But yeah, in this matchup, you probably just want to Snicker Snack and grab their biggest card, or their best defense at the time. So with that said, I think we're all set up and ready to go into Game 3. So let's head on in.
Sounds good.
Right. I suppose the question is whether or not.
All right, as soon as they're ready, they can go ahead and start.
Can choose any, or
And we should note Alice's ability, since she's new to maybe some viewers.
Yes.
Alice has a chance to start as big or small, and that size will change throughout the game based on card effects. When she's small, she gets an additional value, 1+1 for her defense. And when she's big, she gets an additional +2 value to her offense.
Yep.
So maybe on paper, some of her values might look a little underpowered compared to other decks, but that changes in a hurry, especially when you're adding +2 to each attack card.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. I mean, a fainted momentous shift against a big Alice is still 3 damage.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. Yeah, when Alice attacks you as big, you're going to take damage, and there's not really anything you can do about it, at least in this matchup. Other fighters who maybe have cancels, like the What Big Eyes card, from Red that we saw, or Invisible Man's Impossible to See, it's a little different. But in this matchup, if Alice is big and attacking you, you're going to take damage no matter what. And again, Prospero pushing the aggression. I think that's what he needs to do in the matchup. He's going to have to run, Alice out of defense. And so that was a good attack, turn 1. Knocked out one of the feints, hitting Jabberwock with that swift strike. So Xander will not get to move away.
Well, Jabberwock's kind of the weak link because he has 4 attacks, but not many enemies to defend with. Skirmish, Regroup, Manxum Foe, and Feint, I believe.
Oof.
Oh, this
was
is
huge.
an early attack.
That is going to be 5 damage. It's going to be 3 from getting over the regroup and 2 extra from the effect of Jaws That Bite.
If you're Bug, do you think you want to go for another attack and try to get Xander out? Or
I think...
you step back a bit?
Oh, that's hard to say. If you step back, you're giving Prospero the initiative. And he has hand advantage as well. But, eliminating Xander is just going to make Prospero have, I feel like, a miserable time in the matchup.
Oh, you ended up deleting the other one, yeah.
No, they did. I'm logged in around this map, and I hit the duplicate. That's why I do that. Okay. What do I do here?
You can clearly tell that, given that he didn't have something better to defend with, he was counting on the swift strike to get Xander away.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so that feint really made a big impact. And
And
it looks
he's
like he is
he's
going for the
for it.
attack. Yeah,
No blocks.
yep.
Presumably, if regroup's your best defense, oh,
The same thing happened to me.
that's it. This could
That-
settle the game almost.
That feint completely screwed me over. and
Yeah,
now I'm in
yeah.
a
Prospero's
really
not
bad
liking
spot.
that feint. That was huge. Jabberwock is just such an offensive powerhouse. He's scary. It makes you want to go after him because he has such low defense, but then the
It is.
retaliation attack that you're going to deal with is just massive.
But think of it like this: you're gonna be boosted.
I-
Boosted all day.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just a great read by
so
Bug, though, and also the fortune of
um,
having one of the 3 feints out of 30 cards in your starting hand.
But
Yep.
I guess
Along with that offensive firepower from
it's-
Jabberwock specifically.
Yeah,
Not-
a great starting hand, all things considered.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the perfect counter.
Big time. And now he's still small with Alice, so you got to think Prospero's got to push aggression on Alice from here to win the game. And, you know, the Bug only has 2 cards in hand, but Prospero can only get 1 attack max this turn. And then Bug will be able to double maneuver away and regroup cards in hand. And he's going to have that defense buff on this attack, so not a good start for Prospero.
Yeah, and without sidekick positioning, if Bug wants to, he can make sure that Buffy only can get 1 attack each time. It doesn't matter how many cards you have if you only attack once.
Yep, exactly.
So, John, you're famous for loving
So
Jekyll
I
and
said I
Hyde.
maneuvered, I already-
Oh, yeah.
What makes Alice such a tricky player to play in that same vein? Obviously, the oscillating sizes are tough to manage, but what's really the key to unlocking her strength is I think some players have found it hard to do on at least their initial encounter with this game and playing her.
They are very similar. With the size changes, you have to just plan ahead. You know what I mean? A lot of times players will plan for that specific combat interaction that they're about to do. You know, if they're going to go in for an attack, they're planning on, okay, what am I going to attack with and what do I expect they're going to defend with? But you can't just plan for that combat. You need to plan, okay, well, after that combat, what does my hand look like in terms of defense in case they choose to attack me twice on the retaliation? So you really just got to be careful, and you gotta time your attacks carefully.
Oh,
So you'll take
okay.
2. and I'll
So
draw
that
1.
was great. That was fantastic for Prospero. It keeps his hand up. It dealt damage. I'd be happy with that from Prospero's end for sure.
This one will regroup out.
It's not as bad as it looks because Alice is small, but 2 damage is still 2.
Yeah,
Yep, go ahead.
just shows how impactful that size change is. And also, it does not switch Alice to being big, which would be suboptimal at this point because I gotta expect Bug wants to double maneuver away to gather some cards in hand. And then Prospero again wants to keep the aggression, so Bug is going to get yet another buff, on his next defense here.
From a long-term perspective, what do you expect to do with Jabberwock now that 2 of the key cards are used already out of 4?
2 words: meat shield.
Damn.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, what Matt said. You can't do that as well against Buffy because she can move through Jabberwock and still get to Alice, but you're going to have to find those positioning spots where you can force Buffy to boost if she wants to hit Alice, or just do a regular attack, regular maneuver to hit Jabberwock. That's ideal. Force Buffy to boost around or through Jabberwock to get to Alice.
Okay. Well, maneuver. Discard. Right-hand man to boost.
Another Xander card to
Yep,
boost.
Not right-hand man.
I mean,
Military
that's
knowledge.
ideal for Prospero to have those in hand for boosting. Like, he needs all the mileage he can get out of his deck at this point in terms of
6
Buffy
movement.
cards because, Buffy doesn't have a ton of heavy hitting cards.
1, 2, 3, 4. And I attack with Buffy into Alice.
So that was not ideal. There's that defense buff coming in play. No damage from Bug, and as well as he has a movement effect after combat, where he gets to move both of his fighters up to 2 and then change. So that's going to get away from Slayer Strength's effect because it only moves adjacent fighters. So not only did it block the combat damage, it also blocked that auto damage from Slayer Strength. Very big win there
Now
for Bug.
you could think about maneuvering and taking one swing.
Yeah, as Alice, I would think so. Because likely you can at least take a swing and maybe deal some damage, but then also you probably have a card in hand that can switch you back into being small and move away. So it still puts you back into safety.
Okay.
Okay, he's just moving back. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And again, just using Jab Walk to make Buffy boost. Looks right there for a second.
Buffy
He was
has
going
no
to try and...
schemes.
What was that?
Okay.
Buffy has no schemes, so...
Yeah, she can't pass. She has to go in.
Yep.
It looked like for a second there, Bug almost put Jabwalk in that brown space right next to where he's at, which would have invited Prospero into a pin, quotes. But the thing is, Buffy can't be pinned, so it looks like he changed his mind.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think Prospero's getting a little bit desperate because putting Buffy in that beige, light brown spot instead of the dark one means she's going to be further away if Alice moves in the clockwise direction, or just really away.
Yep. I'm surprised he didn't put Buffy in the brown here as well. It may signal something, or it may have just slipped his mind. But like you said, he's probably in a more of a desperation mode right here. But that was good right there. That was ideal. That's what you want to see. You want to attack Big Alice, force her to switch, and then she's small come her turn. So it's definitely ideal. But Prospero does have that 2 extra move from Skirmish here, which is pretty beneficial. He can start heading back towards that other side of the map, like that gray and brown space with the arrows into the pit there.
Small. And then I get to move one of the fighters 2 spaces. And the fighter I choose is... me. And your turn.
So what this does, actually, that was kind of smart because that puts Jabwalk into a boost range to get to Buffy, whereas if Prospero had put Buffy in that space I was talking about with the arrows into the pit, Jabwalk could have just maneuvered once and attacked. So that was smart. And
John, thinking about the tricky positioning on this map, is that why it's one of the most banned maps in the tournament? I'm just looking at the data, and it's the 3rd highest banned map. It's getting banned in more than a quarter of all the matches in the tournament so far. So is it just that lack of familiarity with the one-way arrows? Is it, the tricky positioning on such a condensed map? What makes this one tough for people to figure out and makes them scared to play on it?
I think it's all of the above. For easy answer. More in-depth answer though. Muldoon has been one of the most popular fighters in this tournament by far. Most successful as well. His win rate, I believe, is the highest, and he's not often banned because you're usually using bans on the big 3. So Muldoon is so good on Raptor Paddock if he goes first, being able to rending shot somebody into the pit, turn 1, and just have them pinned there to get, bombarded with attacks is just brutal. So I think Muldoon specifically plays a huge role in why this map is banned. But on top of that, yeah, the one-way path, like unfamiliarity people may have, is intimidating, as well as just the thought of getting stuck in that pit, I think scares players away from it.
And I'm gonna maneuver again.
So this is the first turn we've seen from Prospero, I think all game, with a double maneuver, which signals to me that he does not have either A, a Xander card to boost with, or B, like he just doesn't have any good heavy hitting cards. So he probably is trying to get a setup turn there. I gotta think Bug's
He just
boosting here.
wouldn't boost.
Yeah, because if he doesn't boost, he's overdrawing.
And I will boost that.
Okay.
Yep. Looks like he is gonna boost.
Oh, it's,
Uh,
yeah.
2-point
Probably.
regroup. Yeah. Okay.
If I see correctly, I think that's some unmatched games in Prospero's background too, isn't it? Very nice.
Do you mind if I move my Alice one after that boost?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just gonna do that.
Okay. He actually he decided to move Alice back. I was gonna comment on that after this attack went
I
through.
think he's gonna attack with the Jawslip Bite, and a skirmish is gonna backfire in that
Yep.
case.
Block.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So we have a regroup into a feint.
Hey,
So
that's all the
regroup is not going to draw.
Not regrouping anymore. So I don't get to draw.
That
You don't?
actually
That's
could
true.
be impactful though.
Okie dokie.
Depending, like we don't know Bug's hand though. I gotta imagine he's got other quality defenses rather than just the regroup. So, but him moving Alice back though now puts Prospero into the position again of having to boost to go hit
Second
Alice.
Jabberwock.
So he's just gonna hit Jabwalk instead. Probably a daring strike, I would guess, to draw cards. And it was,
That,
Cool.
but
I got you.
smart from Bug. He's gonna go with the skirmish. So Prospero will not draw. So the skirmish denies his draw, deals him a damage, and the skirmish will get to
Yep.
move
2
Buffy
spaces,
away
I believe.
or move Jabwalk away. But either way, Prospero will not get another second attack this turn. So that was very, very good by Bug.
That's your whole thing. What I want.
You're not gonna move me.
I'm gonna move
No.
you. I'm not
Oh,
gonna move
okay.
you.
I think the pit aside, all the pins and traps, it does provide this
Nice.
chase around the table feel because you can go clockwise or counterclockwise, and you don't want to go into the pit
Right, because it's so far of a
to
distance
catch
out.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it makes it a lot harder. The physical distance is a lot further than what the counting would suggest.
Right, because as soon as you go into the pit, you could reach them easily by going into the pit. But then if they double maneuver away, or even just attack and a single maneuver away, now you have to do a passive turn of double maneuver or maneuver and boost to be able to catch up.
So all 3 regroups off the table for Alice and Bug, both skirmishes off the table. Joshua, I'll ask you first, and then maybe John too. Is it your preference as a player, both going with a deck or against a deck, to see a certain type of card completely out of the pool of possibilities? Does that make your life easier? I would imagine it would.
It does make it easier.
Just one less thing to worry about as an eventuality or a possibility, but it's also probably a little frustrating to see all the regroups out and know that you maybe wasted some good cards against them.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes a big impact, Matt. Not so much, unfortunately, with regroups. That's not what Prospero wants to see out of the deck. More likely, it'd be better to see, feints all out or momentous shifts. But it does make your life a little easier the more and more cards you can check off the list.
I maneuver. Draw a card.
When do you think we'll see our first looking glass?
I got to expect soon.
Because on paper it looks like Alice is 4 points off, but she can heal up to 6 with 2 looking glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say maybe after the second feint comes out from Buffy. Just there's always the risk of a bluff with a feint attack and canceling the
And I'll maneuver and stay. Your turn.
looking glass after combat effect. That's
Yeah.
never what you want. That's the one risk with Alice, so
Right. And
seeing
attacking
a second one come off the board makes it that much less likely it's going to happen the third time.
for sure.
Yeah, and once the feints come off, momentous shift is going to be a big thing. You could start shifting gears.
Yep. Although feinting a momentous shift is the same as playing a 4 against momentous shift,
Yeah.
right? So Buffy has a plethora of 4s, so I don't think that's as much of a worry.
Change
Going
that.
for it.
So Eat Me. So that is the only card in Alice's deck that lets you do a size change and attack if you do not start adjacent to your target. Otherwise, she would have to maneuver first and then either attack, which would change after combat, or do a scheme of Drink Me, which would change instantly, but then that's, your other action and you don't get your attack in. So Eat Me is the only real surprise big attack card in the deck. Which I'm kind of surprised to see it right now because although Bug can get a big attack in here, he is down in hand count by 2 cards, which would make me think even more that he has a Looking Glass.
Block. Yep. I'm into shift.
Ah,
7.
there we
There's the
go.
shift, yep.
So 3 damage.
7 minus 4, 3.
Mhm. Little momenti. Oh, there it is. Boink. My turn. Look how big you are.
I mean, this is the perfect opportunity, though, for Prospero to do the retaliation attack while Alice is big. If Prospero can throw out an offensive feint here and maybe hit Bug's Looking Glass and then do a second attack, that could be huge. Ah,
That's a pity.
that is unfortunate. That's not what you want to
So
see.
you get to go first and choose 2 different effects.
I understand wanting to bait a defense with the regroup, but also Looking Glass is not the one you want to bait because although Looking Glass can heal 3 health, it's only a 2, so oftentimes you're kind of just healing back what
I'll
you
draw.
took in that particular combat. But in this case, it's pure life gain. And also gets away from that second attack by warping with that other effect. So huge for Bug.
But I'm... Oh, yeah, remove 1. Oh, wait. No, that was the first attack. Right, so then I maneuver.
Yeah, I was like,
Ah. Maneuver, draw a card.
how it Buffy has.
There we go. I grabbed Robin Hood's ability for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Buffy with Robin Hood's ability, that would be terrifying.
Once again, there's no pressure for Bug to attack, and that's really the problem once Sandra's off the board.
Mm-hmm.
That there's no one to harass Alice.
Yep. I think honestly that's the problem with Buffy in general, because even with Giles, you only have 3 passes. Granted, those 3 passes can be very impactful, but especially with Xander though, or even with Giles, if Giles dies off, once it's Buffy solo, you know, she has to go in, and that's where she falls apart.
Yeah, I think she's strong. You just need to be a lot more careful with how important her sidekicks are and how low their health is.
Yep.
Relative to that. So
Yeah.
again, I think that Swift Strike getting fainted was really the deciding point.
Yeah. No, I agree, 100%.
Maneuver.
You can kind of hear the defeat in Prospero's voice there. You know, things are not looking good. I mean, I think he's probably kicking himself for banning Dracula, even though he picked the Buffy, you know, Buffy as the counter. Which I do think Buffy would do pretty well against Dracula. Killing sisters easily and having heal and whatnot.
It seems thematic enough anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Give the fans what they want.
Ooh, that's deep.
Interesting, we almost had an all-female fighter roster here. We had
Yeah,
Buffy, Alice,
Yeah.
Red, and then just Muldoon.
So you get to move 5 spaces and switch sizes.
Alright, so we saw another regroup bait out, right, from Prospero there into I'm late. So no damage is going to go through yet again. On Bug, he gets to move and switch to Big. So I got to imagine he's going to stay close, yep,
Okay.
and get ready for that retaliation attack.
Mm-hmm.
My first attack, for my first trick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's deciding between a double attack as big or a big attack that changes size and then a maneuver?
I got to think with such a hand disadvantage, it's going to be the size change and move one. Yep.
I got for 2.
So Mushroom's going to be
You do,
5. It's going to deal
what I
2 to
do.
Buffy, but then he's going to heal 1 back, so net 1 damage on Buffy. And then Alice is going to get to move up to 3 and change back to
As far
small.
as healing cards go,
Yeah.
this one's not the most annoying.
Yeah. Move Alice up to 3 spaces.
Yeah, Prospero. Not the most annoying heal card, being rapid recovery after he hit into a looking glass there. Definitely feel his pain.
Okay. I'm going to maneuver boost with
Okay, so he's got the other Xander card to boost.
knowledge.
So we can move 6. I gotta imagine he's going to the...
4, 6.
Yeah, I would have expected that to get out of range of Jabberwock.
And swing.
Consideration.
during this little bit of downtime too, I guess, I do want to mention to anybody watching the stream, you know, if you're enjoying the stream, you like what you see and everything, consider, you know, giving a tip to 645 Development. He put over 100 hours of work into this stream. You know, he really did. He went above and beyond to make this as awesome as it is. So, you know, you don't have to, but if you feel like you'd like to give a tip, go ahead, and there should be a link on our Twitch page there.
So big win for Prospero there with the Mr. Pointy against a feint.
That's only 2 damage.
Yeah, because of the small buff there from Alice, but I still think, you know, that's obviously still ideal.
That's the best outcome, right, in my mind.
Yep, it is.
I know it's still not an easy path forward, but Buffy needs every little win she can get from here on out.
Yeah, exactly. Every little bit counts. You know, and the thing is too, though, Alice only has one more pass in her deck, being that other Eat Me scheme. And the deck count is even right now. We're at 9 for Alice, 9 for Buffy. Although Prospero is up next, so he's going to have to, you know, make a move first. He's going to draw down to 8 before Bug does, but there is a possibility where I think Prospero really drags out the game and gets a couple more optimal combat exchanges, and maybe he can use fatigue damage to close it out.
You need to feint Looking Glass. You need to hope that the other scheme that draws 2 cards is played. But have they been played already? One has.
Which card?
Eat Me?
Eat Me. I believe only one has been
No,
played.
Drink Me, sorry.
Drink Me 1
Drink
has
Me.
been played as well, I believe. But that one's not a pass, so...
Yeah, I mean, if Alice plays it, then
Oh, right.
that's 2 cards into the deck. But I don't think Bug is in the position where he feels the need to.
I agree. But if Prospero can maybe push a little extra aggression, you know, depending on what Bug's hand looks like, or maybe Bug really desperately either needs the cards or the size change, we could see it. I wouldn't expect it.
does
but-
take a card.
Oh, that's true,
each
and we haven't
time.
seen either of those yet, have we?
It's just possible. You have to feint,
Yeah, you can have
and you have to feint Looking Glass so that there's no more health.
damage.
Otherwise, that's
Ooh.
just too much.
He just got a direct
And
3
then I get to
damage.
move,
Oh, but it was only
up
jab
4
walk.
spaces,
Okay, that's understandable.
like so.
That is okay.
Although I would have
You're
expected...
baiting a suboptimal attack with small allies, or the size change draw 2.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe he's trying to pull off like a cartwheel kick while Alice is small, because that's the time to take advantage of it. If Prospero, or I mean if Bug
Okay,
moves, okay, so we're gonna see jab walk. I would expect
Well,
probably
Jab
the claws
could backfire.
with what skirmish into
Skirmish.
claws.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean it doesn't necessarily backfire, but it would be good defense for Prospero.
That would be 2 damage to Alice.
No, because he's not adjacent.
Well, I mean, if you skirmish to
Oh,
push.
right. No,
jab
you're
walk.
right. You're right. Oh, man, that could have
And-
been
oh,
huge.
Slayer Strength.
Oh,
That doesn't get him out of
It
the
does.
zone.
Which
unfortunate.
unfortunately, you are in yellow.
And
I
he
cannot
can't
get you away
escape
from
the,
me.
the damage either.
This
I will
particular
Had that been a
interaction,
skirmish.
this was crucial,
I didn't see it. Oh, boy.
I would say. This was absolutely crucial right here.
Called it, Joshua, to a
So
T.
I'm gonna put it
Yeah.
up there.
Had that been skirmish, this could turn the game.
Yeah, exactly. That was unfortunate
But
that
he
it
will
had to
take
be
one.
Slayer
The
Strength
jab walk
because
takes 1.
jab walk's going to take 1, which doesn't really matter to Bug. And
That's good.
Buffy took 2 off of that from the Jaws That Bite, since any
Yeah, and
yellow
it's
space
two
is still
two
adjacent.
not for Alice.
Yeah, that was huge.
I think you are in a position where you almost want to attack Jabberwock just to save on cards, but then that's not great.
You're right. I don't know what all maybe like attacking with like a rapid recovery against Jabwalk would be ideal here though, because then you could maybe heal one up if Jabwalk does not defend, kill him off, and heal one, and then that's an action used to attack rather than maneuver. So you're
I attack the
you know
Jabberwock.
keeping your deck count higher. So that's what I would expect here.
Is
If
he gonna
that's the
take?
play, does fainting it make sense? I think it does. It's just such a hard call to make, though.
Yep. I would say so because a feint is not going to kill off Jabberwock unless it's Mr. Pointy, right?
Yep.
Have we
first
seen
action.
both of those?
No, only one.
Okay, so that's the only risk
Yep.
here. If Bug wants to feint to try and feint a rapid recovery and keep Jabwalk alive and prevent the heal, he risks Jabwalk dying to a Mr. Pointy, but then also that is a big chunk of damage not dealt on Alice. So if I'm in Bug's shoes, I'm probably okay with that, and if I have a feint, I'm probably using it. I think he's really thinking about it. He's probably thinking about the same things we were just talking about. Tough choice.
Yeah, he might have maximum foe that you don't really want to play given the deck counts.
Right. Definitely not. And both skirmishes are gone. I mean, you could use a momentous shift to defend, but that would be the last momentous shift, if I recall. Which is, again, a big chunk of damage gone from Alice's end. But she still has Fraptious Day, which is a red 4 that becomes a 6 when big, and Snicker Snack. So
Snicker Snack could,
Snicker Snack could seal the
just
deal.
looking and discarding is
Yeah,
this late in the game.
huge.
I will say this is a lot closer than I thought it would be, given that Xander died on turn 1, basically.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think Prospero's been playing it great. You know, that was just really unfortunate turn 1 for him, but he's been doing a great job at keeping it together. And
It's a shift.
okay, so I'm surprised to see the
That's
Slayer
2
Strength.
damage.
1 damage goes through, and then I kick him over here.
Nice.
He takes another damage.
That does, but he's still alive, which
it
is
says in their
what
zone,
really matters.
Very cool. Okay.
because he's still got.
Shock
Oh,
the
actually,
Jabberwock
have we seen
on
all the Jabberwock
attack.
cards used? Has he used both of the jaws that
No.
bite?
No, I think there's one more.
Or I mean the
Oh,
claws that
second
catch. I
action
mean,
is
he's
He
got
has one more
claws.
claws
Yeah.
of the 4. Yep.
Okay. Which is big. That's a 5 attacker. You know, it would
Yep.
beat over. It would win over a skirmish. It would still deal 1 over a feint. So it's guaranteed at least 1 damage.
Wow. I think he has to really. You can't afford Alice just running. But
Yes.
and Alice can't initiate its size change that well.
Right.
But it's so risky.
Yes, this is risky, but
I mean, even a small maximum foe can go up to 7. I don't know. I think he does have to do it. It's just
Drink me.
he got the cards.
oh, he's doing it. So Prospero pushing that aggression. I think Bug felt the need to get a big attack in here and maybe needed some extra cards for the
Large.
defense.
But pay off.
Block.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
This is big. That's 3 damage. But at least this is the second action. So Prospero
And then
can
I'm going
Yeah.
to,
draw up a couple more cards if he wants to. And then Bug does not have perfect knowledge
go
anymore of the
1, 2,
hand.
3, and deal 1 damage to Jabberwock.
Oh, he's taking out the Jabberwock.
I like that.
So if he's going for a long-term like fatigue game plan, I think that is the correct move there.
And then you get to look at my hand.
Yeah, you're not attacking the Jabberwock, but
Would you like to discard
you're also
this
losing
Xander card?
cards.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh no,
Oh.
there's the Mr. Pointy.
oh.
That's not what
Mhm.
Prospero wants.
Brutal.
Yep.
Yeah, we said it before the game, and it is even more obvious now at this stage. That's the card to go.
Yep.
And there's no real point in shuffling your hand at the moment. I think you're forced to double maneuver, but Big Alice is just going on a rampage.
And I maneuver again. But this maneuver is going to be...
And she's so high up, and she hasn't used the second looking glass.
All right, there is still another looking glass. Yeah, things aren't looking good for Prospero here.
Where are we on the deck counts? I'm trying to think of paths to victory for Buffy at this
It's
stage.
5
and-
for Buffy, and it's
6 for Alice.
For Alice, it's not looking good. And you
Yeah.
can't attack the Jabberwock to pass. Because you don't want to attack Alice unless you're feigning the looking glass.
That's a
Just
good
starting
point,
to lose.
Joshua. So that makes me think, really, that taking out Jabberwock might not have been the best play. If you're afraid, if you're trying to avoid attacking Alice, maybe getting that extra damage on Alice, as well as keeping Jabberwock alive in order to attack him instead of Alice, to just use up an action instead of
If you
drawing.
only have a cartwheel kick, you could be game. Oh, it's a 6 on a 3.
Oh, I thought we had seen both
Take
skirmishes.
3 and regen 1.
Ooh, that was huge.
Mhm. Mhm.
You think she can Swift Strike? Pass the time?
Uh,
No.
I was gonna say I think she needs to.
Oh, no. No, he's getting first. But the problem is, the moment you spend a card, you know one of the cards is right hand man and the other is cartwheel kick. You have one more card unknown, but that's just
And attack.
it's probably game.
Why do you say that? Prospero's attacking, right?
Yeah, I mean, after this, even if you defend with max info, you just need to attack over a cartwheel kick.
Well, Prospero might have another 4 defense, or is he all out of those?
Well, if you attack with a max info. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate to hit into the looking glass. It was bound to happen at some point. Unless Prospero had a feint to bait it out, but attacking with a feint is too risky because, like you said, Joshua, with Alice being big, she'll just kill you on the retaliation attack, even if you cancel looking glass. So you have to use the Swift Strike because defender will move first here with looking glass, and then you get away at least.
And at this point, you could just run the whole game out.
As Alice, yeah.
Mhm. And that was your other looking glass.
But I mean, you're big. You're 12 versus 2.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
just gonna swing.
Right. I don't think there's any win in it for Prospero at this point. I don't think Buffy has any tricks up her sleeve, and Alice is just a monster right now.
You get to move 4 spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that your
That I maneuvered and attacked. So
right? Okay, just making sure that's where you want to end.
yeah.
Okay. I will maneuver.
Mhm.
So defeat in this match means what, John, for the loser? Another long day of, or a long afternoon rather, of Unmatched.
It's
That's
a
right.
rematch.
Yep.
Bryden lost to Prospero.
Yeah.
And the winner of that will go to the finals.
to the grand finals. Yep. Which will be tomorrow morning, starting at the same time, right about 10 a.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Central.
Well, same time for US. If you're anywhere else, you have to factor in BST.
Yeah, everybody keep in mind for the grand finals tomorrow morning, there is the daylight savings time going on overnight tonight.
Okay.
So,
See,
just
this
take
starting,
that into account.
wow. Really sure about this win.
Yep.
And
game.
that is the game.
Good game.
Yeah, losers finals
Yeah,
are going to be
I-
happening.
That's it.
That is it.
should
Yeah,
have,
congrats to Bug Hunter there.
not picked the Musa
Guys,
Grand
anyone
Buggy,
watching,
or I
we
should
are
have
going to get
picked
them
the
in for
Buggy,
a,
but
we'll get them in for an interview, but we'll chat a little bit here.
gotta be.
Let's listen
that
in and see what
early
they have to
thing
say.
on Xander. Was
Mhm.
that was a really big. That was a steep hill that you had to climb after that.
Yeah.
That took 5 cards out of your hand instantly, and yeah, and I managed to land both my heals without you fainting, which I thought was
Mhm.
the other way that I was gonna get low, but good game.
Yeah. Good game. Good luck in the grand finals, and maybe
Thank
I'll
you.
see you again.
I hope I do. I hope I do. 'Cause
Very close
we
game
are-
there.
We are clearly very evenly matched. Cool. So let's see what they want to do here.
Apparently they.
All right, so that was the match. Bug Hunter takes it 2-1 over Prospero. With a deficit at the start there. He lost game 1, but he was still able to come back and get the win, winning 2 games in a row over Prospero. So very impressive. That game, the health totals at the end of that game there didn't look very close, but the game felt a lot closer than it looks on paper, I would say.
Yeah, totally agree. So often those health disparities are very misleading, especially when you've got cards like the ones in Medusa's deck that can just totally swing that number in a way that isn't really indicative of how tense the game might be in the moment.
Right. So, yeah, like I was saying, though, the losers finals then will end up being Prospero versus Bryden. And Prospero knocked Bryden into the losers bracket earlier in the tournament. And so they're going to have their rematch, which I'm very excited to see. But that will start at 3 p.m. Eastern, which would be 2 p.m. Central. We're looking at, we're at about 12:30 right now Central Time. So, in about another hour and a half, we will be starting up the losers finals. But we are going to get the players in here for a brief interview. So we will go ahead and cut out the commentator screen for now, and then we will be back with you guys in just a moment. right, everybody, we have Prospero here joining us, fresh out of the winners finals. So first of all, Prospero, you did an excellent job. You know, really enjoyed having you on the stream. But what are your thoughts? I mean, post match.
Yeah, I mean, my immediate thought was I kind of messed myself up in pick ban. I picked Buffy because he picked Dracula, but then I ended up banning Dracula, so I would have rather had any of my other kind of main heroes in that case,
Sure.
other than Buffy. But and then of course the very unfortunate feint at the beginning of round 3 or game 3, which just allowed him to one-shot Xander. I went for an aggressive strategy because I knew that Alice was small and kind of farther away. So I wanted to see if I could get some good damage on the Jabberwock and potentially knock it out early, because the Jabberwock doesn't have a ton of great cards, defense cards that are just like, it doesn't have any good defense cards that are just for the Jabberwock, and which means every defense card that I burn is a card I'm burning from Alice, and without getting the +1 added to it. So that was my thought going into the beginning of that. However, him feinting the Swift Strike so that I couldn't pull Xander back after that first attack, just really set me back in that matchup.
Yeah, I agree. We were talking about that too, as from the commentator's end. That turn 1 was just brutal. I mean, you had a good thought, you know. I'm sure you probably weren't expecting such an early feint. But yeah, that was just brutal. That retaliation from Jabberwock dealing the 5 damage, you know, in one attack was just that was brutal. So it put you in an uphill battle for the rest of game 3. I think you did a great job, you know, trying to bring it back. You put a lot of early pressure on Alice, which is probably your best chance. But yeah, it was a tough one. And like you mentioned too, in the pick ban phase, I think we've all ran into that problem. Like, you have a certain idea in mind, right, going into the match, and then when it actually comes time to do it, if they pick something that kind of throws you off, you're like, oh man, what do I do? You know, you got to think on your toes, and it's easy to get mixed up and make mistakes there. So I definitely feel your pain with the matchup there. But Matt, I'm sure you have some questions. I know you had some stuff prepared. What do you got for him?
Yeah, Prospero, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on your run. Some have compared your meteoric rise up the tournament ladder to the GameStop stock of late, and I just want to ask, have you given any thought to the rematch with Bryden? We got to make sure this bubble doesn't burst. We're rooting for you, obviously, just as much as Bryden. No favorites here, but have you given any thought to that rematch now that it's on the horizon in the next hour or so?
Well, you got to have diamond hands. This is just the dip. This is the squeeze, and we're going straight to the moon. As far as the rematch with Bryden, I really enjoyed our matchup last time. I managed to, I believe, if I remember that match correctly, was that the
Buffy and Giles beat Robin and Beowulf beat Robin.
Right, yeah. So I have
came down to the wire.
Yeah, I had a specific strategy going into that, and he kind of picked right into it. I do not believe that will be the case again, and so I think that it will be much more of a back and forth battle. So hopefully we'll see how it goes. I'm excited because this will be a revenge match for Bryden. If I manage to win, then the grand finals will be a revenge match for me. It's just, you know, narrative gold, really.
Yes, a lot of good action here. I totally agree with that. Looking back, though, at your match that you just finished as well, I mean, how were you feeling after Game 1 specifically?
Game 1 went pretty much exactly according to plan. I have beat Alice with Muldoon, or not Alice, Little Red with Muldoon in several occasions. And I really like Marmorial for Muldoon, for the Igent workers. I like both the size of the map and the number of connections lets me stay very far away and still have control of such a large area of the map by zones. So I definitely prefer that's kind of the dream setup for me.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, I
and
mean, it's worked
was
out for
still
you.
very close, but
Yeah, it was very close, but I mean, it's worked out for you every time you've done that matchup on that map specifically. So you got a great track record there, and it was awesome to see because Matt mentioned ahead of time your signature move being the call to backup, with setting the traps and then going for a big attack with they should all be destroyed. And he called it ahead of time, and you did it against the Huntsman, and we were all loving that. So
I
that
would have
was,
rather done it against Little Red, but you know what? You take what you can get, and
Yeah.
it kept him from having a heal and 2 Long Have I Sought You. So
Yeah, and that could have been, honestly, we were saying that was probably one of the few deal breakers. You did get a couple of really early big wins, fainting the hands, both of them, as well as I think you got like a couple of good regroups into maybe with the eyes or the big mouth recoil defense. So you got a couple of big combat wins, but I think the key moments were that big attack on Huntsman there, and then maybe that regroup at the end into that last big mouth. So you had a lot of just killer reads there. You did fantastic in that matchup. So I'm sure you were feeling good going into games 2 and 3. It's a little rough to get, I guess, caught with your fighter, your weaker fighter, let's say, and not be able to get a win with it. That's unfortunate because that's just kind of a product of the pick ban phase. So it's unfortunate, but you played really well, throughout. So it's great to watch.
yeah, and I'm not gonna really complain about the format too much, mainly because it has worked out well for me so far, up to this point. So I think that it's been good, and I just kind of misplayed Pickman a bit and got unlucky with some of the hits. But I'm excited to go into the next matchup, and Bryden, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Give me Muldoon if you want. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I mean, you got a great record with Muldoon, so I'm hoping to see him back. Any of you guys got any other questions you can think of?
No, that's good. Get some lunch, my man. You earned it.
Yeah, Prospero,
Will
rest
do.
up, get some lunch, and we'll see you back in a little while.
All right, see ya.
All right, take care. right, guys, welcome back. We got Bug Hunter here on stream with us. Bug Hunter, first of all, congrats on your big win.
Thank
you are
you.
moving on into the grand finals. You are the only person left undefeated in the entire tournament. So you've
Yeah.
been playing fantastically. Congrats on that. And
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. How you feeling after your big win?
Tired. That was more exhausting than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that one is a little more like it was a little more stressful than the other ones you've played so far?
Yeah, I think, I've had games go for 3 matches before and take about as long. But yeah, I think just the pressure knowing that people were actually watching this time rather than just in Tabletop Simulator
Sure.
was a little extra kick.
Yeah. I mean, you did unfortunately have that one misplay, I guess, in that first game with the Once Upon a Time card,
Yeah.
You're thinking it was the
Yeah.
stones. That was really unfortunate. That hurt us to see. But, again,
I couldn't believe I did that.
yeah, I mean, pressure's on, so people make mistakes. It's easy for it to happen, especially, not being used to Vorpal, that may have played a little bit of a role. So apologize for that. But
Oh, no,
you
it's
still
fine.
played really well. I mean, you got him down to 1 health. It was still super close in the end. So
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
great game.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Matt, go ahead. I know you got some questions.
Yeah, Bug, I'd like to hear a little bit more about how the pick bans went. So we heard from Prospero earlier, but a lot of us, I think, watching were a little surprised maybe to see Bigfoot and Sherlock not picked. So talk to us about how that went down. And obviously, we know you're a master with the Little Red Beowulf set, but no Beowulf from you. So a couple of different things to unpack.
Yeah, so initially we had chatted beforehand, and we said, I asked him if he wanted to do kind of the big 3 ban, and he said he didn't care. I said, you know what, if you pick one, I'll pick one, but otherwise I'll leave it up to you. So you'll kind of set the tone if you want to pick one. I said you could probably sneak one in if you get the last pick, like that. But if that happens, then I knew that I would just ban. So and that's what happened. So he did grab Medusa, and honestly, I was thinking of trying to take Medusa on and just because I don't have the Buffy set, and so I'm not familiar with Buffy or those other characters.
You were right, Matt.
But I had played Buffy once in this tournament, and I won. And so I was like, well, my only data point is that I can beat Buffy, and so I opted, and I'm glad I did. I think I would have had a much harder time against Medusa twice than Buffy twice. And then as for not picking Beowulf, that was just to throw him off, because I have to pick Little Red because I love my Little Red, but Beowulf I've been 50-50 with. Pretty much every time I pick Beowulf, I lose once and win once, and I didn't want it to cut so close. And so I've had Alice in my head all week, just hoping that he didn't grab Alice from me, and then Dracula was kind of my throw it up there and hope that he bans that one, and he did.
So the pick ban, I mean, it worked out perfectly in your favor then, just as you planned.
Yeah,
perfect. And I mean, what was your thought after game 1, after that loss, and you're 1 defeat away from being knocked down into the losers bracket? What were your thoughts there?
I felt good because I still had Little Red, and I still believed in Little Red.
Okay.
And it was a 1-0 game, so I didn't get demolished.
Right.
It was very close, and so I felt pretty good going into the second game, and then I actually felt really good going into the third. After playing Buffy again, I felt like because Alice has so many versatile cards that I would be able to use and have that +1 defense for as much of the game as I could manage. Because Buffy's just a big swinger, and so I figured Alice actually feels like a better matchup, a more advantageous matchup to me than Little Red did. So I felt confident going into game 3.
Yeah, that's great, especially with fresh off that win with Red against Buffy. And like you said, Buffy doesn't really have a lot of heavy hitting cards that are tricky. Like she's very linear. You know what's coming. It's very predictable. Yeah. So if you just play a safe, good game with Alice, you're going to have a lot of combat interactions. You're going to get a huge mileage out of your buffs, whether you're attacking for huge damage or getting that extra defense bonus. So that was perfect. Did you think the map choice? Were you at all worried about Raptor Paddock?
I just hadn't considered it because in Tabletop Simulator, it's not one of the normal ones you pick from, and I just, for whatever reason, nobody has picked kind of those alternative maps in my whole way through this bracket.
Wow.
And so when he picked it, I was like, well, I guess I know what he's doing because he had some of those cards that could move me and he could put me in the Raptor Paddock.
Mm-hmm.
But if he only had one other sidekick, and so to block me in is a little harder. And since I took care of the sidekick on my first play, then it became a lot easier to not have to worry about getting thrown in the paddock and not being able to get out.
Yeah, definitely. And I even mentioned too, like I think Alice in particular isn't as much worried about being in the paddock as other fighters might be. You have Looking Glass to warp out if you really need to, but on top of that, like you want to be up close and personal with Alice. You want to just keep having combats and taking advantage of your buffs. So a big Alice is scary. I would not necessarily want to stay right up against a big Alice. So yeah, so yeah, I don't think the map was too impactful there. But yeah, really well played overall. I mean, I think your match in Sarpedon as Little Red against Buffy, I was very curious as to your thoughts near the end of the game, where if you had played defensively, you guaranteed had the game locked out because you had more than enough auto damage and whatnot to just play defensively, gain a bunch of cards in hand and make sure that your auto damage pulls off to close out the game. But instead you decided to go aggressive and push, even with low cards in hand. I mean, was that just a confidence thing, or what were you thinking there?
Yeah, I knew I had the Into the Woods, so I could move the 3 and take an action. And so having the hand, and I knew that if I went around kind of the outside and pin Buffy would run out, but not far enough away that I couldn't catch up. And then once it got to the point, like I knew what cards were left. I knew the feint had to be played because he had to be anticipating my deal 3 damage that I was about to do. And so all I had to do was swap the cards around so I could play both because I had the knife in the basket. So I was going to land it whether I played the what's in my basket or not. So I like to end the game with a 0 on the health dial, like personally. And since I saw that path, I just I figured why not go for it.
Okay, so yeah, you attacked with, was it the basket first? You used the scheme into the woods. You attack with basket over. Did he feint that? I don't remember.
He did feint that. He had to.
Oh, okay, and was that the last feint?
That was his last feint.
Okay, so your Once Upon a Time then was guaranteed. My thought was that, what if he feints this Once Upon a Time and then you're left with no cards in hand and he can double attack? But that was the last feint. So yeah,
I was counting his feints.
Yep. Very good. So that was a great win. I was happy to see you, have the confidence to go aggressive and finish out the game like a man instead of running away.
Bug, speaking of playing like a man, one last question for you. I've heard that your wife is the only person who can beat you, apparently.
Oh, she destroys me. Yeah.
Explain to me that one. Apparently, you're new to Unmatched. You're dominating this tournament. You haven't lost a match. You've dropped all of 3 games the entire tournament, and yet she's not in the tournament. She'd be wiping the floor with you and everyone else. What's going on?
She would. No, yeah, she'd be sitting here right now if she was in the tournament. I keep track of my games against her, and she has a 75% win rate against me. I think it's she is in school and probably just more busy than me. And I think that's probably what it came down to, is I had more time to play games, and she's but yeah, she would do well, and I hope to sign her up in the next tournament.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Team tournaments.
We would love to have you guys back for another tournament for sure. And yeah, if we ever do 2v2, you got a perfect partner there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Any other questions you guys have?
I'm good. Get some rest. You earned it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, Bugs. So you don't got to play again. Yep. And you don't got to play again until tomorrow morning. So we'll start at that same time, about 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Or 9 a.m., I should say, Central. And, just be ready for a long set. If we have to take breaks in between, we can for food or whatever, because it could potentially be 6 games long. So
Yeah.
Unless you just 3-0 them, you know, off the bat, then that ends it right there.
That's my strategy right now. So we'll see if I execute.
Good strategy. All right, Bog. Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks for
Great.
having us or having you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow. Winners finals. For everybody watching, thank you so much for joining in. And we're going to have about an hour break, and then we will start up the losers finals as well, which will be, again, Prospero back at it versus Bryden. So that is the revenge match. So really looking forward to it. You know, hopefully you guys are enjoying all the stream layout and everything. Again, feel free to give a tip to 645 if you feel he deserves it. I think he definitely does. He went above and beyond for all of this to happen. So thank you again, and thanks to all you guys for joining in, watching. Thanks to all the players. Thanks to Restoration and Vorpal Board. You know, everybody's been so supportive, so just thank you all for making this what it is. It's been awesome. So we will see you guys back in just about an hour.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Joshua.
Thanks
Thanks all
guys.
for watching.